Hello and welcome to this commentary for Aliens vs Predator Extinction. We're going to be covering the Predator campaign, and I will see you after the intro cinematic. Predator 1. Exclusive hunting rights. Having surveyed many planets, your clan has targeted this one as a rich hunting ground. This planet has a growing alien population that's recently been stimulated by the arrival of human warriors. It is also home to a formidable beast, the legendary Grotee. Your clan has petitioned the governing council of ancients and been granted exclusive hunting rights to the planet. Anticipation is high for many superior trophy hunts, as the skulls of human-hosted aliens and battle-hardened marine warriors are greatly prized. A few clan members have arrived early, in preparation of the first hunt. Many more clan will be arriving soon.
The rugged terrain in this remote wasteland is a good setting for the clan's first blood sport. Prepare now for a fight to the death. First, your clan must find the alien Hive. Then, hunt down your prey and seize your trophies, the alien skulls. To show your progress, the skull count appears on the pause menu, which may be accessed at any time by pressing the start button. And remember, failing the hunt will dishonor the clan.
So even on hard difficulty, the first mission for the Predators is practically a formality. You'd have to really actively work to try and fail this one. So as you might notice if you've seen in the other walkthroughs, our population cap is significantly smaller than any of the other races. We only have 12 on mission 1, and that will increase as the missions progress. The Predators are the only faction where their population limit actually changes over the course of the missions. And one thing that makes them quite effective, not only are they powerful fighters, I mean, just look, he's just getting shot by a pulse rifle right there, and he doesn't give a fuck. But also, points I find are actually quite easy to get for the Predators. So you'll gain a small bounty every time you kill any kind of opponent. It could be a marine, even like a medic will give you some. It could be an alien, it could be an Oswalk, like the random wildlife you come across. But then you'll gain a much significant amount of points if you take the time to then take the head of whatever you're fighting. So you can gather points really quickly, even just by killing just the wildlife, really. And in fact, this is probably the one exception with the predators. When you take out things whose heads can't be claimed, so whether it's a case of it being synthetic, which admittedly I never fully understood. I mean, synthetics still have heads, but I guess they don't have skulls, so they're not interested in getting a plastic fake head. You get another big chunk of points from it. And the predators do cost more than most other equivalents. I mean, the aliens don't cost anything to produce aliens, and the cheapest marines are around 125, 150 credits. The predators are a little bit more expensive. Even just the basic brawlers are 200 points. So it balances out a little bit. But for the most part, you're going to find that your predators, despite being fewer in number, are incredibly, incredibly powerful. So they can deal with most problems. And what makes them unique amongst the factions is that every predator, in a manner, is self-sufficient. So you'll have this little blue bar under their health bar, and that's their energy. And it changes slightly on a few predators, but for the most part, it like charges up to about 300. And once it's fully charged, you can either expend that energy to cloak them. And cloaking can be useful if you're attacking marines in particular, as even if they spot you, by being cloaked, they're going to miss more of their targets, especially if they don't have a synthetic nearby. So it can mitigate some damage you take. Alternatively, you can also use it to heal your predators, and that's what makes them completely self-sufficient, which I suppose makes sense given the kind of creatures that they are, that this charge will slowly increase over time. So they don't need to visit anyone else like the Marines would need to visit a medic to heal up. They can just continually keep fighting. Maybe if they get too badly hurt, like they makes a special noise there, which is to essentially say that they're out of energy. But then you just wait a little while and for your energy to power up again, and you're ready to go once more. So just by using these 3 predators, we've already taken out quite a few aliens and marines, and we've given ourselves enough points to get reinforcements. So for the first mission, the only 2 you have access to are the hunters and the brawlers. So the brawlers use, I guess what you would say is the basic predator weapon of the wrist blades that they're quite infamous for using, and they just go into melee. So unlike the predators from the movies and from other games, each predator will only use one weapon at a time. And I suppose that's to stop them from being too overpowered, and you want a bit of, you know, a little bit of an RTS element in it. So if every predator had every weapon, there wouldn't be much strategy. 2, they would be nigh on unstoppable. So I think the idea that they put into this game is that they use different weapons because there's different classes of hunters. So the brawlers use the wrist blades. They're your, I guess, your basic predators, the lowest tier you're going to get. But as you've already seen, they are very effective melee fighters, despite being the lowest tier one. The quickness with which they slash through opponents, there's a lot of marines and even some of these smaller predators like the drones that are just absolutely onslaughted by these wrist blades. They don't even have an opportunity to fire back. And then the hunters use the famous predator plasma caster, and a really powerful aspect of these and why they're useful right up until the end game is that they can be fired whilst moving. So they can be quite good at kind of like kiting around. Like standing still doesn't really benefit them in any way, so you can be firing whilst on the move, making them very good hit and run attackers. So we're just going to ignore the marines because our objective is to claim 20 alien skulls, and we've got 15 minutes to do this. We have plenty of time, but there's no point faffing around. And the plasma caster, as well as doing quite a lot of damage, has a very slight splash to it. When we upgrade them later on, that's even more effective. So as we can see, we just took out a pretty, I mean, not an insignificant amount of aliens, even on hard difficulty, and absolutely no problem whatsoever tearing through them. And of course the traditional Predator scream every time they claim a skull. So we're just going to upgrade our Brawlers here. And that gives them a little bit more damage, a little bit more armor, and also means that they can do what's known as a glory kill. So every now and then they will hit both of their blades together, and if that, not only does it do a lot of damage, but if it ends up landing a killing blow, it will decapitate whatever they're fighting instantly, so you don't have to waste time collecting the skull afterwards. And there we are, see, very, very simple. Predator Mission 1 completed already. 26 kills, no deaths, nice and simple. Predator 2. Human Trophy Skulls. Large armies of human warriors are on the move and setting up sprawling bases around the planet. Your clan has hidden themselves from the armies in preparation of the next hunt. The hunt for human trophies. Beware that, while skulls of weaker warriors are not highly valued, in large numbers, even the weakest humans can be dangerous to a single clan member. The most prized skulls belong to the stronger, more cunning enemies, those who wield the most powerful weapons. The greatest honor and respect will come from dominating the most dangerous of human warriors.
Your clan has just arrived on the outskirts of a human storage facility. It is well guarded by armed human warriors. You are to stalk the facility and seize the skulls of the powerful human warriors known as Smart Gunners. During a hunt, optional goals will arise and appear on the pause menu. They are worthy goals, but not critical for a successful hunt. With success comes honor. Failure brings only disgrace to the clan.
So, Mission 2 for the Predators follows what I consider a little bit of a running theme with all three of the factions. And for reasons best understood by the game developers, or perhaps they didn't playtest it well enough, Mission 2 of every campaign is usually the second hardest mission out of all of them. And the Predators are no exception to that. And a big reason for that is, once you start pissing off the Marines on this map, and there's a lot of them, they will start sending patrols towards your shrine. They just seem to kind of know where it is. And if you're not prepared for that, you can very easily lose your shrine. Especially early on, you don't really have many Predators. You can get completely outnumbered. So what we're going to do before we start pissing the Predators off, start pissing the Marines off, is we're just going to be collecting the skulls of some of the local wildlife. For reasons best understood by the Predators themselves, although they don't prize them obviously nearly as much as aliens or marine skulls, you do still get some points for killing the wildlife here. So I mean, you get 15 just for killing them, and then you'll get a little bit more, so about 35 to 40 for taking their skulls. So it's not a huge amount. You're going to get about anywhere between 50 to 75 points for taking out some of the livestock. But in this early stage, when we don't have many points, every little bit counts. And the Predator Hunters that we want to make use of are 300. So you'd have to kill 4 livestock to get a Predator Hunter. But as we already know, Predators are relatively strong, so even just a slight upgrade is going to really help us out. And already they're sending patrols. I mean, this one's just a Comtech who's gone out by himself. So what we want to do is move the shrine from its initial starting position. And we're going to use this as as our base of operations, but also where we retreat to. And this is going to be like our defensive staging ground. Now, the shrine, if it does kill an opponent, you don't get points if the shrine makes the kill. But as I mentioned previously, the majority of the points you're going to be getting from collecting their skulls anyway, not from the kill itself. So although you lose about 25% of the total points you're going to have because the shrine made the kill, you're still going to be able to collect their skulls. So it's not the biggest setback. And for this mission in particular, one strategy I like to use is employing a lot of hunters. And the reason for that is, especially against the Marines, melee Predators are going to struggle. And that's because there are so bloody many Marines that by the time you've sent them into melee range, there's probably another whole platoon of them just round the corner, and they are going to fuck you up. They're going to completely take them out and just gun them down before they get an opportunity. So we have 3 hunters, and rather than get some more hunters, what we want to do quite early on is go for a Predator vision upgrade, and this one is known as the thermal upgrade. And this will allow us to spot Marines just slightly out of range of their usual vision range. And a good thing with the hunters is that, much like the Marine snipers, their effective attack range is larger than their visual range. So if you can see Marines with the thermal upgrades, you can start taking them out before they can even fire back. And that's the biggest aspect that we're going to be using to this, is to try and take the Marines out at superior distance. Although we are stronger and we have better technology, there's so many of them that their raw DPS far exceeds anything that we can do. So we want to pick them off a few at a time from a superior distance. And as we can see, when we're running back, we're slowly whittling them down with our hunters. And another useful benefit of going back to the shrine, not only does it have a relatively large amount of health and a relatively decent attack rate, I think it can target 4 independent units with its thermal beam, but the shrine itself will have 900 energy to it. And the shrine doesn't need to use this energy. It doesn't require energy to heal itself like normal predators do. It will regenerate itself automatically over time when it's not in combat. So when you put other predators nearby it, it will increase their regeneration of their energy. So if your predators are taking a little bit of damage, you run them back to the shrine, and then it starts recharging the individual predators' energy at the expense of the shrines. So you can get the energy up, heal them, and get them back into the fray quicker. So the thermal upgrade we have is only going to be useful on Marines. It's not going to let us see synthetics and other electronic enemies like sentry guns from a distance. But the biggest threat for Marines obviously is their inundation of just typical Marine troopers. So all the extra space we had for more predators, we're going to put all of that to hunters. And with our superior vision upgrades, we're going to slowly start taking them out from a distance. And the initial beginning of the hunt can be quite difficult, but as we get along, I mean, now we've reached almost a critical mass of hunters where they can kill most predators in most Marines in one volley. I think that flamethrower's armor was just a little bit too tough to get taken out one go. But from this point onwards, we're going to see that our points shouldn't really be struggling all that much. It's just that beginning section. And again, I know it's quite difficult when you're looking at a walkthrough to see, you know, some of the strategies that's going on underneath the gameplay, but hopefully this commentary can explain why I did a few things. And if you're in any doubt about how difficult it is, just go and play this mission and try not to do this and see how long you last. So we had a huge amount of points out, over 1,000. So from that, we're going to upgrade our hunters. So now they'll have what's known as smart casters, which means they can fire different projectiles based on what they're facing. So if an enemy is not on fire, they can shoot basically a fireball to ignite them. They can fire AoE blue plasma, and against more heavily armored targets, which we're probably not going to come across, except maybe if there's a few sentry guns around, it will fire purple plasma armor piercing bolts. So it just generally makes them more effective in most situations. And in addition to that, we've also gone for the 600 point electronic upgrade. So the electronic upgrade is usually useful against aliens because the aliens give out electrical signals. So much like the thermal upgrade allows us to see Marines at an extended range, the electronic upgrade also allows us to see aliens at an extended range. But that also includes electronic Marines, so synthetics, sentry guns, exosuits, stuff like that. And really what we're going to be doing is really just kiting for most of this mission, which I'm afraid to say is also one of the reasons why I tend to find the Predator campaign a little bit less interesting than some of the other ones. There's a few variations, but of the 7 missions, over half of them, the most effective strategy is just to get a bunch of hunters, get your vision upgrades, and slowly whittle them down from a distance. And it's a strategy you're going to see me using a lot because it is so bloody effective at just slowly whittling enemies down. Now, the optional objective for this mission is to collect 20 normal marine skulls, and it's hardly even worth being an optional objective because just in the pursuit of trying to get enough points to upgrade our troops, we're going to do that anyway. So the actual objective of this mission is to take out 5 smart gunners and claim their trophies. And another reason why this mission can be a little bit tricky is there are, as I've mentioned before, there's so bloody many Marines that just trying to get through them in time can be a wee bit of a challenge. So you have 24 minutes to do this mission, which is, a reasonable amount of time. But when you look at how big the damn map is, and through all the Marines we have to try and find where these fucking smart gunners are, you have to move quickly or you're very much at risk of running out of time. I mean, some of the other missions, the time is almost a formality. Like, it doesn't really make much difference. I mean, the first mission we had 15 minutes, and I think we did it in, like 7 or 8? Like, it's not really much of a challenge. And speaking of the first mission, a bit of trivia, I guess you could say I forgot to mention, is that the map for the first Predator mission is the only map to my knowledge, or as far as my lizard brain, my smooth lizard brain can figure out, that is actually present in all 3 campaigns. So that map is also the first map of the first Alien mission, and it's also map 5 for the Marine campaign. So there's a nice little bit of continuity. That's meant to be where the first Alien Hive kind of sets up. And I guess you can argue when these Predators come in, they don't end up taking out the Hive, they just kill enough aliens to gain the skulls they want. And then when the Marines go in mission 5 of their campaign, that's when the Hive actually gets officially taken out. So the Marines are none too smart, and it's quite fortunate every time you kill a smart gunner you actually get a little pop-up on display saying that the clan's killed one so that you don't miss it. And as you can see just from collecting skulls, our points, we've already got 20 Marine skulls now. So our points are not the issue, so we might collect a few skulls every here and there if we have to wait for our hunters to charge up anyway. But for the most part, we can just ignore a lot of the bodies now. We have more than enough points to finish the mission, and we've killed enough of the Marines to complete the optional objective. So our focus now is just to find these smart gunners and take them out in time. And you'll notice that as the mission progresses, not only do you get these reinforcements being called down by the Marines, but you also notice that they also upgrade their troops as they go along. So as you might have seen, the infantry have now been upgraded to have the red armor, which I believe is called the MX4 armor or something. And they also now have grenade launchers, as well as 100 additional health. So it's why you want to be upgrading at the same time as the enemy upgrades, so you can kind of match their upgrades. So we're just going to continue doing this, just kiting around, just doing our best to stay just out of the line of sight so that we can attack and not get shot back. And I suppose a benefit of the hunters, the hunter predators are definitely a slightly weaker strain of predators. They don't have as heavy armor as some of their bigger cousins, and they only have 400 HP. I say 400. 400 is nothing to scoff about. I mean, unupgraded infantry have 200. Unupgraded drones have 200. Even alien warriors only have 300. So 400 with a little bit of armor isn't too bad. But compared to some of the heavily armored predators, we are on the lighter side. But what it means is, although we can shoot from a distance and do our best not to take any damage, if we happen to overstep our boundary a little bit, our predators are tough enough to deal with a little bit of chip damage here and there. And one thing we could do, if we wanted to, is to go into cloak mode, so that would decrease the amount of damage that we take from marine projectiles, because they have a harder time hitting us. A problem I find with that is you don't really need it all that much, and when you're cloaked, your energy is constantly draining. So I much prefer not cloaking at all with the hunters, and that way any energy can be used just to healing them. So we have this, little group of hunters, and if you keep moving them, these can deal with almost any threat in the game. Given enough time to just do hit and run attacks and slowly whittle them down, there isn't a single thing in the game that a group of hunters can't deal with. If they start getting chased by aliens, you just run away and slowly shoot them as they're running at you. The only way you're even going to risk losing any troops is if they have a lot of fast aliens, so if they have a ton of runners coming at you, or if you're unfortunate enough to get them to get too close to, say, like a carrier or something which spews facehuggers at you. So every now and then we might lose a couple of hunters just from range, especially in some of the later missions when we come across marine snipers who do hit like trucks. But if you take your time, do these hit and run tactics, heal up in between fights, like I said, there's very little they can't do. And it requires the game to throw a few curveballs at you, not to basically just use these all over. I mean, these are the second predators you get. They're considered the second weakest. Never quite understood that. The plasma caster has always been quite iconic amongst predators as being like the best weapon they have to bring to bear. So why they decided to give that to the second tier predator, I'm not too certain. I don't know. I have no idea. I do consider them far more useful than a lot of the other predators. I mean, the other predator we've seen on this map is the Discmasters. And I'm not the biggest fan of the Discmasters. So they can do a lot of damage to a lot of enemies. When they throw their discs, as you've seen when I'm trying to take out the Oswalks, they will pass through one and then hit another. So they'll bounce around and move around. So they can do a decent chunk of AoE damage. The problem with that is, especially when you're facing marines like this, you want to take one out quickly because so you have one less gun that you're shooting at you. When you're throwing discs that damage a large group in equal measure, it means you're not killing anyone particularly quickly. And you'll notice that the Discmasters don't do a huge amount of damage. I mean, to the Oswalks, they're only doing 20 damage per disc, and the Oswalks don't have armor. One of the few benefits you have with them is the fact that each time these discs land in a target, especially the more lightly armored marines and some of the more lightly armored aliens, so your drones, your runners, etc., it does stun them and it does stun lock them. So they can be kind of good at, I guess, group crowd control. But again, it's so situational, and considering they actually cost more than hunters, I'm not too fond of using them. I'll use them if the game starts me with them, but other than that, not too fond. Now we have a benefit here of we have these sentry guns, and these haven't been upgraded to have the pseudo sniper rifle attachment to the end. So just stay out of range. Again, we outrange them, can take them out, no problem. There's so little that can deal with this. It's actually kind of stupid. And we've gathered most of our smart gunners now. So like I said, we're not really bothering to collect the skulls, and we already have over 4,000 points. So we could literally replenish all of our hunters several times over at this point. So we're just trying to move as quickly as possible because we don't have a huge amount of time to find where the last smart gunner is. And usually he's on the west side of the enclosure that the marine base. So do your best to kind of explore all of it. With the shrine and the other predators that we have that we're not using as part of this hunter pack, we're just going to situate them at the landing beacon. So if the marines do decide to call in any reinforcements, we can just absolutely mince them as they come in. Because each dropship can only drop 6 marines, and even as they're dropping, although you can't see because the dropship is covering the view, they only come out one at a time. So against the Shrine and Free Predators, they're not going to last. At least not any kind of marines that they are going to be able to call in at this stage. If it was like an exosuit, maybe we'd be in trouble. But if it's just like some infantry and even like a flamethrower or something, absolutely nothing to worry about. And I mean, that's pretty much this mission, really. We have some miners around here that you could kill and collect their skulls. And I always found it quite stupid that if you kill the miners, you get points. Because if you will recall from the Predator movies, they go out of their way to tell you that they don't attack humans that don't have weapons because they're not able to defend themselves. And it's not good sport to kill someone who isn't a worthy opponent. But there's another smart gunner. We'll just collect his skull, and that should be the last one. There we are. Mission 2 done. Like I said, it probably didn't seem too difficult, but trust me, it can absolutely fuck you up. And yeah, 118 Marines for Mission 2. Predator 3. Legend of the Grotee. With great success and honour, the clan trophy hunt moves to the most dangerous of hunting grounds, and into the lair of the Grotee. The legend of the Grotee chronicles the plight of countless clans who, over the ages, have met their death in fierce blood sport. It recounts how entire clans were annihilated by a single Grotee, and how a pack of Grotee slaughtered even the strongest of clans. Do not let your clan's defeat become part of the legend.
Prepare for a fight to the death. You are hunting a supreme bloodsport trophy. Slay the beast and seize the skull of the vicious Grotee.
So I mentioned earlier, in order to have it so that you don't just use a pack of hunters to deal with every mission, the game will throw a few curveballs at you to make it so that strategy doesn't work. And this mission is one such curveball. So much like we did previously, we want to move our shrine a little bit north because there's a few Oswalks around and we want to take them out to get some early points. We're just using the Discmaster with him in camouflage mode, just do a little bit of scouting. And what we want to do is position our shrine up here, because this is quite a defensible position with the cliff face. What it means is that anyone who wants to attack the shrine will only be able to come in from the south. The entire north region is enclosed off, and there's no aliens in this mission. Again, it's just Marines and a few other surprises. So the Discmaster, we put into cloak mode so that he could effectively take out the sniper without too much difficulty. We're not going to collect the skull just yet because she's on quite a defensible position and there's a few other people in the way there. So what we're going to do is we are going to have a Stalker, and we're probably going to grab a few more later on, and there's a very specific reason for that. So the Stalkers are incredibly lightly armoured. If they start getting shot at, they will not last long against almost anything. A benefit to them, however, is not only do they use up their energy less quickly when they are cloaked, but they are also able to fire whilst remaining cloaked. So the shrine's regeneration for its energy can support at least a handful of Stalkers nearby, and you can basically just keep them permanently cloaked. So that's the way we're going to use to try and defend them, is hopefully enemies just won't spot us. And this right here is the curveball. So interestingly enough, even though the beginning of the mission talks a lot about how dangerous the Grotee are, how a single Grotee is capable of wiping out a whole clan, the Grotees are complete fucking pushovers. Like, they are not threats in the slightest. The threat on this mission is the fact that there is a rival predator clan who is incredibly hostile to you. So we're going to have to change up our strategies ever so slightly. Now, we started this mission with a Spear Hunter, who is by far and away my most favourite melee predator in the game. And the reason for that is if you cloak them and you get them to attack an enemy that doesn't know that they're there, they will perform a lethal stealth kill. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to take out like an alien Ravager with it. In actual fact, cloaking tends not to be too effective against aliens in general, just because if you're even on the spores that they have, then you're going to get spotted. But against Marines, it can come in very handy. And as you saw when the Smart Gunner and other Marines were coming up to our shrine position, we made him go into cloak mode, managed to take out the Smart Gunner, pulled him away ever so slightly, and then came back up to basically to lose the vision of the enemy and then come in to do the damage again. So the first vision upgrade for this one we're going to be using is the Predator attack, just so we can actually see them. Otherwise you're going to have Predators running all over the shop, and you're not even going to know that they're around. Unfortunately, although the enemy Predators are every bit as strong as your Predators are, they tend to be kind of stupid, and you can use that to your advantage. So, as with before, although we're not going to be able to rely entirely on Hunters, they are still very, very effective for a lot of this. The Brawlers that were attacking them, obviously quite strong and quite fast, so we had to kite around a little bit to take them out. But that's, I mean, a decent chunk of Predators already taken out. And there's another reason why we've stuck the Stalker up on the ridge there. So he's going to stay permanently cloaked and able to provide any kind of covering fire. So we're going to be exploring a little bit up ahead, and if we run into trouble we can just pull them back and we have the Stalker to help out. And as you can see, he's already firing a few off. Unfortunately, with the enemy Predator clan being kind of stupid with their strategy, the Predators are very egotistical, shall we say, opposite of humble. In that, if you take enemy Predator skulls, it's going to give you a shit ton of points. So we've already managed to buy all of the vision upgrades. We have 2 Stalkers and we have a few Hunters. And so for the most part, we're going to be doing what we did previously. We're going to be using the Hunters to kind of scout out. There is a lot of Marines up ahead, and unfortunately you also have the difficulty of having Predators interfering with them. But we want to try and basically kind of clear a path through the Marines so that we can move through. In the center of this map, there is a very large marine compound, and I would not recommend trying to actually take the damn thing out. It's not going to go well for you. You can do it. It's definitely feasible, and again, that's why we wanted 2 Stalkers, because we want to be able to, if they send some Stalkers our way, we don't want to struggle with it. And because we've had to use the Last of Energy, it has decloaked us, but we can come back up. So you want to upgrade the Stalkers quite quickly, which will give them these barbed spears when they fire. And the benefit of the barbed spears is whenever you hit an enemy, it lodges in them, and it will continually drain their health. It won't kill them, it will drain them right down to 1 hit point, but it will never fully kill them. But the reason that that is so useful is not only does it drain the health, but it also cripples them. So they'll start moving very, very slowly. So by having them up in this ridge here, we can basically get them as a defensive, almost turret, to kind of deal with any threats that come our way. So we're going to keep them up, and we've just killed a few more of the livestock just to get a few more points. Unfortunately, because we start with so many damn Brawlers and a Disc Master and a Spear Master, we're not going to have the opportunity to have too many Hunters. So we're going to have to pull back a little bit more. And this right here is why you can't use Hunters to just cheese this whole mission. So at the end of this video, I will have a Bestiary to all of the different Predators. And the Spear Hunters, oh, we're going to pull them back, they're taking a bit of damage. The Spear Hunters in particular have armor. I believe that it's from some kind of like phoenix creature on like a native homeworld or something, which makes them incredibly resistant to flame attacks. In actual fact, in one of the later missions, I kind of use that to their benefit. You can have a Spearmaster go up against flamethrower units, and they're going to struggle to die, essentially. But unfortunately, I should say for us, flame-based attacks also includes the plasma from our plasma caster. So as you saw then, you heard there's like a ching 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 noise, which basically means that the plasma bolts we're firing from our Hunters is getting almost completely absorbed by the Spearmaster's armor. And by that I mean literally every plasma cast that you fire at them does about 3 HP of damage. They have 450. You can see the problem of trying to take them out of Hunters. They are basically completely ineffective against Spearmasters, and that's why we make use of the Stalkers up here. If we run into, like we found here, another Spearmaster who we can't hurt, if we can lure them close to the Stalkers will start firing at them, and immediately they will lodge them with the barbed spears, which is going to slow them right down, allowing our Hunters to get away and also to slowly drain them. of all of their life points. As you can see here, not doing absolutely anything. The second they get into the Stalker's range, they slow right down. And yeah, the Plasma Caster isn't doing anything, but the Stalkers will be able to deal with them. And that's the main roadblock that this mission deals with you. In order to take out Spearmasters, you're probably going to need Stalkers. Even other Brawlers aren't very effective against Spearmasters. When they get surrounded by several enemy melee combatants, instead of stabbing with their spear, they'll do a kind of like twirling motion. And this knocks back any melee attackers nearby them unless they're strong enough to withstand that attack. So obviously they're not going to be able to knock back like Ravagers or Predaliens, but even just normal Brawlers will get knocked back. And it makes it quite strange actually that the Spearmaster is more effective when they're outnumbered. If you have a Brawler fight a Spearmaster in a one-on-one combat, the Brawler will win. If you have 3 Brawlers attack one Spearmaster, there's a good chance the Spearmaster will win because it's going to keep knocking them back and stun locking them. It's a bit of a strange one. They don't use that attack normally, but it means that even your Brawlers aren't very effective. So the best way I find of dealing with Spearmasters is again with our Stalkers. So we're going to be using them to great effect this mission. And again, by keeping them cloaked, it means that we can at least mitigate some of the damage, because if they do start getting shot at, they're going to go down very quickly. But we have most of our points, we have all of our tech upgrades, so we are still going to use our hunters to try and clear a little bit of a path, particularly through the marine encampment. Now, there is a marine encampment at the centre of this map, and yeah, you see, even Discmasters don't last against us. Even if they stun us a little bit, not really a problem. So there is a marine encampment at the centre of this map, and it is entirely possible to take the marine encampment out, to go forward, complete your objective, do the optional objective, and do it under the part-time on hard difficulty. It's very hard though, so we're not going to bother with it. Instead, what we're going to do is move our troops basically clockwise around the centre of the map, and we're going to completely ignore the centre. It's doable, but it's going to slow us down significantly. And if we can get away with not having to deal with them, why should we deal with them? The main objective for this mission is to take out the Grotee, which you're going to find at the southeast section of this map. So you can either cut straight across the marine encampment, or you can do what I'm going to do and just ignore the whole fucking thing. Because we have other shit to deal with. And the optional objective is to kill the leader of the Predator clan. So we have our hands full having to deal with the Grotee and a rival Predator clan without having to worry about pissing off Marines and them sending squads after us. So we're just going to completely ignore them and go up and around. Now, as you get closer to the enemy Predator encampment, this game does what you pretty much just come to expect from RTSs, in that it cheats. So not only do the Marines outnumber you pretty viciously, you'll find that the Predators and Marines very rarely, if ever, fight. In fact, I don't think they fight at all. And not only do the Marines have a far larger number than would normally be available, but the Predators, given the fact that the enemy Predators are obviously stat-wise just as strong as you. In fact, since you're playing on hard mode, I think they are slightly stronger than your Predators. But they also have a higher population cap than you. So we are unfortunately going to incur, or very likely to incur, a few casualties trying to take them out. So we're going to bring the shrine along with us so that we can reinforce directly into the fight if need be. And obviously keep all of our Predators around the shrine to protect it as the need arises. But as mentioned before, we get a lot of points for killing enemy Predators. So we have tons of points now. We have all of our available upgrades upgraded, and you'll notice that the Spearmaster now has a double-ended kind of plasma lance, spear, scythe, whatever you want to call it. And not only does that mean that it does more damage, which obviously we always like more damage, but it has an interesting component to it that if the Spearmaster does the spinning attack I referred to previously when they're surrounded by several melee combatants, it will deal more damage based on how many melee combatants it hits in one move. So when we're going to get attacked by quite a few brawlers and whatnot, it's handy to have them. And the brawlers that we have, I mean, I prefer just to have more Spearmasters in all honesty, but they can be pretty strong, and so we might as well upgrade them and have them lead the front of our fights. That is also another reason why we don't want to have nothing but Spearmasters, because the upgraded version, again with the Plasma Scythe, in any other situation wouldn't be a problem. However, when it comes up against enemy Spearmasters, it now means that you're not doing as much damage. So again, mix in a few Stalkers, mix in a few Brawlers, even the Discmaster. It's a shame really, because this is one of the very few missions in the game where you actually want a well-rounded pack of Predators. And it kind of forces you to actually, you know, use a little bit of everything. The same cannot be said for later missions, unfortunately. At least not from mission 5 onwards. The next mission after this also has a little bit of a curveball, but after that, it's not really a problem. So in addition to them having a number of Predators that are just going to completely run themselves at you, the Predators will also have PredGuns. And the PredGuns do a lot of damage, so as we've done previously, we're going to want to try and use our Hunters to a bit of a benefit. And that Predator is absolutely fucking stoic. He's just getting shot and just not giving a fuck. Oh, no. Now we've come to some trouble. And we lost one Hunter, but we can just call in a reinforcement. It's not a big deal. So just keep moving down, and again, almost using the Hunters like forward scouts in this case, using the vision upgrades to try and track them a little bit off camera. And when you combine them with the Stalkers, obviously the Stalkers with their barbed spears will have a bit of CC. One thing you want to try and do is kind of sort out the formation of your troops, and by that I mean not formation, the stance of your troops. So you don't want Predators running off if you don't need them to. So whenever I have Hunters or ranged units like Stalkers, I like to put them in stand ground stance, which is something that I put all my Marines in my Marine campaign through. And then your melee ones, you'll usually want to stick into defensive posture. If you put them into offensive, they run the risk of just chasing an enemy halfway across the map. Whereas with the defensive position, they tend not to go too far ahead. And you want to try and keep them ahead. If you start having Predators run off, again, in most other situations, they'd probably be fine. But considering we're facing enemy Predators, they run the risk of getting picked off. So we've kind of circumvented the big Marine camp in the center of the map, and the main Predator encampment and shrine is just a little bit south and a little bit west of our position. You can usually tell that you're coming up to it because obviously you'll have more of these Predators that are just standing around. So the Predators that attacked us at the start were actually on patrol and seeking us out. You'll have a lot of Predators that are just standing there, and those are Predators that start the mission in that position. So it seems to be almost like there's two different groups of units that the enemy will use. You have whatever units they call in during the mission, and then you have a separate group which seems to be ones that they just start with. And if ever you use any cheats so you can see the entire map and view any of the enemy positions at the start, you'll notice there's a lot that are just standing there, almost like Dark Souls enemies, just like sentries. It's a little bit weird. But as we approach the enemy Predator, or the enemy Predator Shrine and Leader I should say, it's definitely going to get a lot more heavily defended with the PredGuns and then sending troops out. So we're going to have a little bit of difficulty. So just be cautious, trying to take as many out from a distance with your Hunters as possible. Your Shrine can be useful, but definitely keep them at the back. And make sure also your Stalkers are at the back. Again, if you can keep them permanently cloaked, it's going to be beneficial, because the Stalkers are one of the few ways you're going to have to deal with the enemy Spearmasters, because as I've mentioned before, even Brawlers, if they start ganging up on them, are just going to get knocked back and take a bit of damage. And that right there is the enemy encampment, and we actually lost the Hunter just from scouting. So we're going to pull everyone back, and try to get them to attack on our terms. I mean, I say that we lost a hunter, but I'm pretty sure we killed 1 or 2 of theirs in the fight, so we came off better off. And it's another reason why you want to bring the shrine round as well, so you can heal them up quickly after fights. And yeah, just look how many of them. All of them Stalkers. Fortunately, your hunters are more effective than their Stalkers are, but we've lost a couple of Brawlers in that. I think we lost one of our... I think we lost a Hunter and a Brawler in that. So when you have like 6 fucking snipers shooting at you, trying to take them out without losing any of your own is unlikely to happen. So you're going to have a couple of casualties. That's unfortunately inevitable unless you kite like a god. And yeah, we're getting sniped a little bit out, so we're just going to send our hunters forward to take them out. So it's almost like a triangle. Spearmaster defeats Hunter, Hunter defeats Stalker, Stalker beats Spearmaster. But now we've lost a couple of Brawlers, at least we can replace them with more Hunters. Because we're making a big dent into the enemy Predator clan. And if anything, if we need more troops capable of taking out Spearmasters, we might as well just go for more Stalkers. Those are the best way of dealing with them. And as we can see, the amount of enemy Predators we've taken out to the ones we've suffered, bit of a difference. We've killed a lot more than we've lost. So we're making some serious headway through it. So at this point, if you wanted to just complete the mission, you could just go south. The Grotee you will find in a cave south of here, but the optional objective is to take out the enemy Predator clan. And we know the shrine is nearby because that's where the PredGun is. And they'll usually deploy PredGuns to protect their shrines. So again, another reason why we try to avoid the Marines in the center. We only have 35 minutes to do this mission, and already we've clocked in at about 20. Just because there's so many fucking Predators to churn through that it's going to take a little bit of time, even working as quickly as you can. So if you're going to try and take the Marines out in the center, you're going to be really cutting it fine. And there's no point to risk it if you don't have to. So a few plasma casts there to take out that one. Again, try and kite a little bit. If you take too much damage, pull them back and heal them up with the shrine. And it does at times seem like there's a never-ending supply of them, but they will start to go down. There's a few. So many fucking Stalkers. They really, really like the Stalkers. Maybe just because they're a brand new unit for this stage. So maybe the clan's only just got the technology to use them. So it's like, oh, we've got to use that. And them being idiots, not deploying. And yeah, you know the shrine is there because we've literally just seen the drop pods come down. So they do call in a lot of reinforcements, which is why there's so many of them to get through. And Predators being as tough as they are, take a bit of churning. In fact, there's more fucking Predators to take out on this than there is in some of the later missions of even the bloody aliens and Predators. And there we go, the rival leader destroyed. We didn't even see what he was. So the rival clan leader in here is takes on the same form as a Discmaster. And that seems to be a theme whenever you have to take out clan leaders, in quote, you can't see him doing finger quotes, clan leaders in quotation marks through this game. There's at least one alien mission where you have to take out a clan leader, and again it is a Discmaster. And I think the reason for that is just because the model of the Discmaster has all of these skulls like sitting almost like protruding spikes on like the back of his collar. He has 3 skulls, so that makes him look like he's the clan leader because he's the biggest baddest. So yeah, the shrine itself, not too difficult to take out. The Stalkers are a big problem, but again, just by using the Hunters, the shrine has a relatively short range and is also very slow at moving. So by keeping our distance, we can take them out. And because we have the upgraded Hunters, you'll notice that they fire some of these purple bolts every now and then, which does extra damage. And the PredGun can be a much bigger threat, but is completely immobile. So you just come in, fire a few shots, go out, heal, come in, and just keep doing that till it's taken out. And that is the rival Predator clan pretty much dealt with. We've just murdered about 50 or more of our own Predators. Like, damn. They don't support the Geneva Convention too much, since they don't mind like setting them on fire and using barbed spears and whatnot. I guess they don't have a Geneva back where they come from. But as you can see, we have over 11,000 points. And the only thing left to do now is to take out the Grotee. If you wanted to go kill some Marines, you're more than happy to, but I wouldn't recommend it. Now, the Grotee are very tough. They have, I think, 3,250 hit points. But the problem with them is that they're kind of munted. They're a little bit stupid. Oh, there's a few more predators down here. Let's just take them out. So they're kind of munted. They're not the fastest, and they have to get really close to actually do one of their attacks. And you'll find that they kind of are a bit stupid and don't actually do it. So if we use the hunters like this, these legendary grotee that could take out entire clans, they're not even going to be able to land a single blow on us. I don't know how much damage they do because I've never struggled with them. They go down very easily. I think if they are actually able to land a melee attack, they obviously would do a lot of damage. But more than anything, they're just big old bullet sponges that you just have to shoot a lot of. And it's just kind of silly because you get a shit ton of points for killing them. Obviously, it's at the end of the mission, and these grotee don't appear in any other ones. And that's what they are, these weird kind of monstrous creatures. And they're just, yeah, look. Even though we're in melee range, it's kind of, they're freaking out and not able to actually land an attack. And although, they have a lot of HP, they don't have much armor, so that HP doesn't actually last long. And not even slightly a threat. If you just take this goal, yeah. Like 15, I think it was about 14 or 1500 points for taking this goal. It's a little bit absurd that this whole mission is the build-up of the legendary grotee, and they are a footnote. They're so easy to take out, and they don't appear in any other missions. I think the reason is, like, they didn't put enough effort into the model actually working correctly. They didn't playtest it, because they were only appear this one time, and that's why they're kind of pathetic. But that is mission 3 done. Our hunt is successful, and our grotee skulls claimed. 117 kills, a combination of marine and predators, and only 7 losses. Predator 4. The Predator Ancients revealed. Marines have destroyed the Cloakers and revealed the Council of Ancients' hidden base. Now exposed, the Ancients explain their covert mission. The poachers you fought are another strong clan who are also granted exclusive hunting rights. The Ancients' plan was to lure 2 great clans here and pit them against each other. The superior clan would then be deemed the Ancients' successors. The losing clan would be banished. To this end, the Ancients imported alien eggs and created an arena in which they could study the clans secretly to rate their hunting prowess. Now, unable to observe from afar, the Ancients order you to the clan trials, a pair of formal hunts designed to showcase a clan's skill.
The Ancients direct your clan into this, the trial of hunting stealth. With a small pack of clan members, you are to infiltrate the Marine base. If you alert many humans, you will fail and die. Stalk and seize the skull of the base's leader, the Lieutenant Commander. Win with your skill and your stealth, and remember that in failure comes disgrace for all the clan.
So this trial is by far and away, at least to my opinion, the most difficult of the Predator missions. Why on earth the most difficult Predator mission is slap bang in the middle of your campaign? I don't know. To try and mix up what we've had to do previously, the trial of this is, well, as we've just mentioned, is the trial of Predator Stealth. So what you have is 4 Predators, and you can't call any more in. I don't know why. If you look at the bottom, they've increased our population capped up to 20 Predators, but we can't get any more, so I don't know why they did that. So we have 4 Predators, and we have to infiltrate a Marine base. And I guess this mission was kind of designed to get you more into the hunting mindset of the Predators than you would see in other missions where it's kind of just RTS, you know, send troops in. So, I mean, we can take some heads, we can take some skulls as trophies if we want to. There's no point other than to pad out some score because there's nothing we can spend it on. And why I find this mission, well, there are many reasons I find this mission frustrating. So, not only can you not get any more Predators, you can't even upgrade the 4 starting Predators. So, getting the barbed spears for your Stalker would make this so much more satisfying and so much easier to go through, but we don't have that opportunity. And it's just, a lot of the difficulty comes from how fucking tedious it is. And it means that you're liable to make mistakes. And of course, the optional objective for this mission is not to lose any of your predators. So not only is it fucking tedious, but any slip up and that's it, we've lost the optional objective. And even on the easier difficulties, you know, it's easy to make a mistake like that. And so the difficulty comes not from, you know, it being particularly challenging in the sense that you need to come up with good strategies or have particularly finesse gameplay, but just in the endurance that you have to go through all of this and not cock up. So for the overwhelming majority of this, we're going to be using our Stalker. And what you have to be wary of is these synthetics. So basically, the AI is a bit gammy in this. If an enemy spots you, they will go and raise the alarm, but it doesn't always seem to activate immediately. And the synthetics sometimes don't do it as much as others. So usually the synthetics, you don't have to worry about them raising the alarm. But if you get spotted by another Marine as a result of the synthetic, they will then go and raise the alarm. And it at least gives you a little bit of leeway in that you can afford to have 2 alarms raised and not fail the mission. It's only when the Marines raise 3 alarms do you fail the mission. So they give you a little bit of leeway in that regard, but it's still kind of bullshit. So yeah, like that. When the Marines spot some of your troops, they'll get an exclamation point over their head and they'll start running to the control panel. But you have a few seconds to kill them, so you can just kind of bum rush them like that. And that's precisely why we're going to be using the Stalker for all of this. Because it's not even a case of trying to mitigate the damage that you take. The second you get spotted, they're going to start running the other way. And there's usually a whole bunch of Marines that are going to be guarding whatever Marine is going to raise the alarm's retreat. So trying to chase them down, you're going to get gunned to shreds. So this mission is frustrating to the max. So round the corner here we have a sentry gun. So what you want to do is get your troops to run at it and then pull your Brawler back, because you're unlikely to be able to take it out in time before it kills one of them. It takes, in fact, we're going to have to pull our Spearmaster back as well and just slowly kind of chip at it away. So really this, your Predators are divided into 2 groups. Your Stalker and everyone else. And your Stalker is going to be taking the front point for the majority of it. Now, fortunately, the Stalker not only is capable of attacking whilst being invisible, which is pretty much the only reason this mission is even doable, but it also takes longer for his stealth to run out. It will still eventually run out, so you want to make sure that you turn it off from time to time. The last thing you want is for his stealth to run out mid-attacking someone, and then you suddenly get, like, boom, let's just gun to pieces, or worse yet, they go and raise the alarm. Now, mercifully, even though you can't upgrade your Predators, at the very least, they do start you off with the vision upgrades. And again, without the vision upgrades, this mission would be close to impossible. So we see there, we're just going to take this Marine out down here, being very careful not to get the synthetics attention. So instead we're going to bring our backup Predators in to gun this one down before he can do anything. So again, yeah, the synthetics don't raise the alarm usually. I might have seen them do it once or twice, but maybe my memory's just not recalling too well. But it's when other Marines spot you with the synthetic. And you'll notice, to throw you off, the Marines don't always stand around, especially not the synthetics. They'll usually kind of patrol, and they can clock you, essentially. So I guess in that regard, it is nice that they gave you this 3 chances and you're out rule, because otherwise this mission, fuck it. I mean, this mission is incredibly frustrating as it is, even with the 3 strikes. So without it, just fuck this mission. So again, this is why it's frustrating. We're just standing around, doing nothing, waiting for our Stalker energy to come back on. Because although he has 300 points, the second you switch him to be in cloak mode, it uses up a big chunk of points immediately. So you have to be very conservative when you can with it. Now, fortunately, they do give you a relatively generous amount of time. You have 32 minutes to do the whole thing, which is enough time to go through it all. you don't have to clear out all of the Marines, thank the Emperor. You want to basically just try and get to the far left-hand side of the base as quick as possible. So pick a north side, pick a south side. It doesn't matter too much. Just move quickly, essentially. And the target that we have to take out is one of the leaders of the Marine encampment. And as soon as he's done, we're finished. So we don't have to worry about that. But unfortunately, there is a lot of Marines that you have to take out. And as I've mentioned before, they do go on patrols. Fortunately, they're kind of stupid. I mean, this guy is literally running into our Stalker and hasn't realised, something's awry here. I mean, they're just getting shot at by spears and they're just standing there and taking it. And I get, you know, to be a Marine, you have to be tough. But you also, I thought, had to have a little bit of intelligence with you as well. If you're taking spears, you don't just think, that's strange. Oh, wait, my buddy over there's just died. That's strange. I know, obviously, it's, you know, they need to do something like that for the game. Otherwise, it would be impossible. Or, and here's just an idea. They could have just not done this fucking level. They could have just not bothered with it. I really like this game. I really do. This is the one mission that I cannot stand. It is bullshit to the extreme. There's some other missions that have a couple of aspects to them that I'm not a big fan of, but there's a lot of fun in the strategy and figuring out. This one, it's not even a case of mentally taxing you. Okay, it is mentally taxing you, but it's not taxing your intellect. It's just taxing your resolve more than anything. This mission fucking sucks. And it's pretty much the only time that I make use of group commands with the Predators. So you can make up to 4 different groups by going up, down, left and right on the D-pad. And since you have 4 Predators, it's quite beneficial that you can group them up so you can choose each one for specific situations. Admittedly, again, for most of it, we're going to be using the Stalker. So, and there we see... And yeah, they're dealt with. So we have the other 3 Marines basically just hobbled round the alarm. Another reason why this can be quite frustrating is you don't really know where all the alarms are. It would have been nice if they at least like pinpointed them on the map so you know what to watch out for, but you don't have that benefit. So when you come across a alarm like that, a good idea is just to have all of your Predators over it so that they can kill anyone that tries running to it. The AI is a bit stupid. If they see Predators around an alarm, they won't find another alarm. They'll just run for that one. Now, there's a sentry gun in a very inconspicuous place here, and rather than bothering trying to take it out, as we saw previously, we kind of struggled with them. We're just going to run past the fucking thing. And even doing that, we lost a lot of health to our Spearmaster. And I'm just going to quickly chase this guy down so he can't raise any alarms. Stab him! Shank him! And yeah, fortunately, the Stalker managed to finish him off before we got into too much trouble with that sentry gun. So just going to pull them back, heal them up. Again, just have a little bit of time to replenish our energy. And it's another reason why you don't want any damage on your Stalkers, because not only do they need the energy for their cloaking, they also need that for their healing. So if you are then using energy to heal yourself up, you're going to have less to cloak. You're going to have to wait even fucking longer to be able to actually do anything. So the Stalker is the real MVP of this particular mission. But we're getting... Thankfully, thank the Emperor, close towards the end of this. So I'm going to get him down, and we have a smart gunner running to the sides. Let's just make sure the Stalker is past him in case he tries to run for it. And saying that, he gets taken out before he can even get anywhere. So what have we got here? An infantryman and a flamethrower. So should be able to take them out without any difficulty. There are a few sentry guns towards the later end of this section. And as we've seen previously, they can be a bit of a pain if they're around corners. If, however, you can get... they're not, you know, round a corner, you have a clear line of sight with them, especially with the extra vision, you can take them out from a distance. You should be able to just about hit them with your hunters. I don't know why he didn't see that. And if you struggle trying to get the correct range of the hunter, you can just use the Stalker as well. But... these things take a little while to take out, so if you can have both your ranged units shooting at them, it's going to speed up the process pretty significantly. So the ones we faced previously, yeah, the Hunter does far more damage than the Stalker does. So the sentry guns we come across previously, obviously they're at awkward angles, so we wouldn't be able to shoot them while still being out of range. But these ones aren't too problematic. So rather than going up, we're going to keep to the south side of the base, and I find that's usually the easiest way to navigate your way through towards the commanding officer of the marine base. If you just keep to the south side, and that way you can avoid as much of the patrols as physically possible. As you can see, we've gone through quite a big section without actually coming across anything. So you know you're near the end when you come to this room. This is pretty close to where the final commanding officer is, and you know you're near the end when you start coming across more sentry guns. There's a few guarding the final target you have to take out, and it's just as I said, very boring. Unfortunately, there isn't too much to say about it. Going to bring the other guys up close. The Stalker fires 3 spears in each volley, but I think it does like 15 damage each, so every one of those is 45 damage. A sentry gun has 500 HP. You can see it taking a while before you can actually take one of them out. So yeah, if we just move them up, we're going to keep all of them cloaked for the time being, just because there's a few marine patrols that go past. We want to make sure that they don't come up behind us. So we're going to move our Stalker back a little bit, just so we can deal with these guys, making sure we're not going to have them come at us from behind. And another infantry one turning up. Most unobservant infantry you are ever going to come across. Like, I know if you were to join the military service, I think it depends obviously from what country you're in, but I'm pretty sure you need at least a minimum IQ of 92. Clearly they dropped that pretty significantly in the future. They were desperate for more Marines because they have the situational awareness of, I don't even know an analogy for something that has that bad. A slowpoke maybe from Pokemon. Because even goldfish have better memory. I know there's a common misconception that goldfish only have 4 seconds memories, and that's been pretty busted because you can teach goldfish tricks. I remember there was a Mythbuster episode where they actually managed to teach goldfish to go through a series of like mazes to get to where the food is. So they do have a longer memory. They can learn stuff more long term. So we're just going to have a little peruse round, make sure there's no synthetics or anything else that can take us out. There's a sentry gun to the right of our position, but there is absolutely no need to take it out. We don't need to go that way. So we're just going to keep pushing on upwards. And thankfully the medics go down pretty quickly due to their low health and armor. And this right here, and you can already kind of tell just by looking at the position, this is the final enemy that we need to take out. So we're going to use our Stalker to take out the 3 Marines first before we risk pissing off the synthetic and also any other patrols that come round. So again, we don't want an infantryman to be coming at us when the synthetic's around. It's going to give away our position and they're going to go and raise the alarm. And quite a few. So once you infiltrate the base, it can be a little bit difficult trying to find positions to put your other predators in so that they don't get caught out. Because obviously the Stalker, I don't know the exact ratios, but I feel like the Stalker can probably stay cloaked for about 3 to 4 times longer than the rest of them. So the others would have ran out of energy well before I was able to clear this place out. So yeah, the Stalker, almost a one-man army on this particular mission. So we're going to take out the last smart gunner. And the Lieutenant Commander right there is the one we need to kill to finish the mission. So mercifully we are getting pretty close. And that's what I mean, it's not difficult at all, this mission. It's just tedious. Okay, it is a little bit difficult, you can mess up, but more than anything, it's just the tedium of it that's quite frustrating. Just slowly whittling them down. It's not... When you're playing Predators, obviously you expect there to be a little bit of element of hunting and stalking your prey, but you don't expect watching paint to dry to be more interesting. Like, when that's the case, I think you've done something a little bit wrong in your video game. In your Aliens vs Predator video game, of all things. So he's almost gone. And the second sentry gun's out. We're going to send everyone just to take out the lieutenant commander because we're kind of done with it. So yeah, get them up. So yeah, the commander's down. Let's get them to bum rush the synthetic and collect his trophy. And we are thankfully done with this. And no other mission is going to be nearly as bullshit as this one was. Ancients, your mission of clan stealth can go suck a bucket of fucks. Lieutenant Commander score secured. Trial hunt successful. Yeah, 50 fucking Marines, 17 minutes of tedium. Predator 5. The Trial of Bravery. Your clan exhibited a refined and expert skill in the first trial, and has distinguished itself in the eyes of the Ancients. The next trial is more difficult, more grueling, more deadly. Win the trial and receive the honour of the Ancients' mantle. Lose the trial and be banished and disgraced.
The trial hunts of the Ancients continue on in this, the Trial of Bravery. Your clan is to enter a large and mature alien hive. There, you are to seize the skull of their queen. Win with your skill and your bravery, or fail in disgrace and dishonor your clan forever.
Now, despite what was mentioned at the beginning of this mission, the Trial of Hunting Bravery is absolutely nothing compared to what we've just had to deal with. So there's quite a few roaming aliens on this level, so I like to put a PredGun a little bit south and east of our shrine, so that's the one that ends up getting attacked first. Just in case there's any roaming aliens or whatnot that come to our shrine, it's a way of making sure it's defended. So what we want to do is get our Spearmaster and put him into cloak mode. And what that means is that we can do these one-hit kills on people. And what you can often do is take someone out, walk off a short distance till they lose line of sight, come back and do the kill again. Obviously you just have to be careful of synthetics. And in actual fact, flamethrower units can kind of be beneficial to you in this regard. Every time you get hit by flame-based attacks, not only does the Spearmaster, not only are they capable of not taking much damage from fire, but every time you get hit by fire, so it's only going to do like 5 to 10 damage or something. But in addition to that, it will also recharge your energy. So there's a few flamethrowers relatively early on in this mission that you can actually use to quickly recharge your Spearmaster. Obviously you can also pull him back to the shrine to get him charged up as well. That is an option, but it's a means of keeping him recharged in the battlefield. Now, what we want to do, as I've mentioned before, is get a lot of hunters, and they are going to be the main means of dealing with most of this mission. And we don't even have as much time on this mission as the previous one. We only have 28 minutes. So, I mean, even the people making this game must have realized that this mission was not as difficult as the previous one. Our optional objective is to wipe out all of the Marines, and our main objective is to kill the alien queen. So we do want a bunch of hunters, and we want the upgrades, the vision upgrades, but before we can do that, we need to store up a few points. So what I like to do is send the Spearmaster out to kind of take out a few high priority targets. So that sniper, for instance, we get 50 for killing her, and then another 300 for collecting her skull. So the sniper alone, that's a hunter right there. So we're going to use the Spearmaster to give us a few points until we can build up our forces to actually properly take them out. And unfortunately, there was a synthetic that ran past just as we went to do the killing blow on that. And as you can see, the smart gunners are not meant to do too well against heavily armored units. But you find that that's not really the case. They can absolutely brutalize most of your predators. It's only really like the military Hydras and Blazers that struggle with them. So we've got just enough now to purchase a Vanguard. Now the Vanguard I have a strange kind of relationship with, because as a unit on his own, I think that the Vanguard is one of the most useless predators. The reason for that is, okay, they're very heavily armored, so, you know, they're meant to go in with a melee. The problem is they have a scythe, and the scythe admittedly does do a lot of damage. But the problem is it takes so bloody long to swing that in most situations you're gonna get a lot more damage done if you were to just use a bunch of fucking brawlers. Like, the idea is that they're meant to be used to take out big targets like exosuits and queens, but I honestly, like ravagers and stuff, but I honestly think just taking them out at a distance is far more effective. However, why we've just got a Vanguard and why I quite rate them is, well, not them as a unit, but them in a utility-based role, is usually they're useless. However, if you upgrade them, and as you saw, that was what I was saving up points, was to get a Vanguard and upgrade them. They have an upgrade called the Kill Switch Generator, I believe it's called. And what this means is that there is a device on their back that will shoot down incoming projectiles. And it won't work on everything. If you're getting absolutely shot with tons of machine guns, there's a limit to what it can do. But it can do quite a lot. So if you have maybe just like a lone sniper or a lone Star Trooper who fires rock at you, that kill screen generator is just going to stop it. Just stop it in its track. And so what I like to do is mix them in with a bunch of hunters at this point in the game, especially when you're facing off against Marines, who are obviously going to have an absolute shit ton of long-ranged options. So you have one, maybe two Vanguards as kind of like the leader of the pack, and then they stand up front and they shoot down a lot of the bullets that are going to be coming your way. As you can see there, that's that little blue thing going out. So we're able to kill some of these Marines without taking any casualties. Obviously, you still don't want to get too deep in them. You still want to try and take them out from a distance if you can. And yeah, there's the scythe. That's what I mean. It does do a lot of damage, but look how slow the attacks are. Like, if you're facing off against aliens and whatnot, you're just going to get completely overwhelmed. And I guess that's why they got the upgrade, so that he can close the distance and not get gunned down. Because he is quite slow, because he does have relatively strong armor. But the fact that you need to spend so many points upgrading, I think it's like 750 points just to upgrade him for him to even be useful. I don't know, he's a strange position. And it would have been nice if we could just stick the kill screen generator on a hunter or some other kind of predator that we can actually make use of, but that's the way the balancing works. So we're going to have him leading it, and we're basically just going to slowly build up our hunters as we've done in previous missions, and just get an absolute death ball of hunters to just take out everything from a distance. And that's why we're starting to get some of the upgrades. And as you see, yeah, a little bit more than we can chew off. But thanks to our Vanguard, most of the damage is mitigated. And we still basically use them as we did before. So, you know, try to kite them, try to keep them out of range. You will move a little bit slower with the Vanguard than you would to otherwise, but it's quite useful to have that generator on there. So you're not trying to use the generator, really. That's like a last defense mechanism. And look, 2 rockets that probably would have completely fucked up our predators, or at the very least done 3 rockets now. Boom, taken out. No problem whatsoever. And that's why I like them. I very rarely actually get them to attack. It's more just keeping them with other troops to kind of defend them. And then the hunters do the main bulk of damage. So from taking out those Marines, I mean the Star Troopers, I think you get like 300 per skull. We can really notch up how many hunters we have. And so the more hunters we have, obviously the higher our DPS, and we can really start going to town. So, and that's what we're going to do. I'm not even going to worry about any other predators. Just going to have a shit ton of hunters, and then we can get the vision upgrades and hunt them. Vision upgrades and upgrade them, sorry. I swear sometimes my mouth moves quicker than my brain. And with this, we're going to be able to take out the Marines, especially once we now have the Electro. And you can already see on the map, there's a little green up there, because there's a couple of aliens being cheeky bastards. So the optional objective is to take out the Marines, and the main Marine base is just south of our position here. So we've collected enough skulls to have the troops we need, and now it's really just time to put the hurting on them. I say that, actually. We're going to collect these last few skulls just so we can upgrade the hunters. But the rest of the predators on the upgrades, you don't even need to worry about them. Hunters can deal with 85% of your problems. So we're just going to, again, be a little bit cautious. Not going to run headlong into it. We're still going to keep distance. As we see there, we got hit by a few attacks at once, which meant that a couple of these sniper rounds got through. You can see from the trail of blood. So we did take a little bit of damage there. And obviously, things like flamethrowers, we can't do anything against. Like, the killstream generator won't work against bursts of flame. And we're just going to absolutely slaughter these guys. The dropship's coming in, and there's only 6 Marines on every dropship, and they're going to be coming out one at a time. So literally, the second they come out, didn't stand a chance, and just slowly eviscerate them. So flamethrowers are a problem. Things like smart gunners are a problem if they start firing too many. If you get a bit overwhelmed, the Comtech can call down these Aurora satellite imaging shots, which we can't do anything against. And another big threat is if you come across exosuits. The exosuits just fire so many bullets that the kill screen generator doesn't even try and stop them. So, because he's got twin-link Gatling guns, yeah, he can't do anything against that. So those are a few threats you still have to kind of look out for. And as you might expect, it's not too useful when you fight the aliens. The kill screen generator can be used to take out any kind of drones that are spitting at you, but that's about it. So again, we have to be cautious when we go into the aliens and try and keep our distance and slowly work our way in. If we start to get swarmed by lots of aliens, just run out. And as I've said before, the benefit of the hunters with the fact that they have a 360 swivel on their plasma casters means that we can just be running to the other side of the map, and the predators will be the aliens will be chasing us, and they can chase us all they want. We'll just slowly whittle them down. They're not going to catch us, except maybe the runners, but we're going to be killing them, you know, at least a runner every volley. So yeah, just slowly move through, make sure we've cleared out the whole place. And yeah, once you have a setup like this, there isn't really a whole lot you can do. As I've said, the only real thing you have to be careful. I mean, even the sentry gun, it won't fire quick enough to get past the Vanguard, the upgraded Vanguard's generator. The only real threat you have to face is exosuits, and they move so bloody slow that you can just stay out of range and just slowly snipe them from a distance. They don't have the best long range weaponry, so they're not much of a problem. And in all honesty, with something like this, there isn't really much the Marines can do. They can just try and bum rush you with everything they have, but it's not really going to work. The only time they have a chance is if they manage to maybe catch you around like a corner or something. In actual fact, speaking of that, there is a section on the next mission which this strategy won't work, and it's pretty much the last time this strategy doesn't work for the whole game. And even then, it's just a very, very tiny section. So there we go. All of the Marines have been taken care of. So now it's time to send the hunters to deal with the aliens. And as you can see, what I'm doing is sending the Vanguard back to the shrine, because he can stop a few of the drones from spitting it out, but that's about it. And with him on your side, your hunters do have to move a little bit slower, because obviously your troops are moving at whatever the slowest unit is in your selection. So I find when you face aliens, it's better not to have the Vanguard at all, because that way the hunters can move faster. So if they start getting swarmed with too many aliens, they can just bug out. Whereas if you have the Vanguard with them, they move a little bit slower, and they're actually going to take a considerable amount of damage. Because the predators move pretty fast. The aliens obviously move even faster, but the difference in their movement speed is not so great that running away isn't a pretty good strategy. They might get an attack in every few seconds, but it's going to massively decrease their DPS. And really, as long as you keep an eye on your hunters, as you can see here, the second we start firing, we immediately pull them back, because we assume there's going to be several of them. as long as you're good with your micromanagement, there isn't much that the enemy can do at this point. It's pretty much just free sailing to the end of the game, and that's why the Predators are my least favorite of the campaign. Aliens I obviously love because I'm a huge fan of the Alien franchise. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Predator, especially the original Predator. But the Aliens I love a lot more. I find them quite interesting. The Marines I find quite interesting because it's a challenge. Admittedly, sometimes it's a challenge for the wrong reasons, but I'm a sadomasochist. I like challenges. I mean, Dark Souls has ruined me for other games. So really the biggest threat we have going forward is probably facehuggers, in all honesty. With the Hunters, although they are very good at taking things out, they sometimes commit all of their shots to a single target, which means that they can suffer from overkilling one target a bit. And even though they do a lot of damage, I mean, we just saw them take out a Praetorian in a single volley. Perhaps the biggest weakness is just being inundated with lots of weak ones. And pathfinding. What is he doing? What is he doing? So if you're unfortunate enough to, say, come across a carrier, I mean, usually with the upgraded Hunters, and yeah, they've gotten a little bit sick from some of the runner attacks, so we're just going to pull them out and heal them up. So with the carrier, usually the Hunters are smart enough to immediately attack them with fire, especially if they're upgraded so the carrier doesn't just spew facehuggers over your colony. And obviously once you've seen them, you're probably going to be wanting to pull your Hunters back anyway. But there is the element, there is the risk there that if you're not too quick, or if the Hunters are perhaps prioritizing taking out someone else, then it can get close and maybe do some damage. And I think the only other thing is, especially with some of the faster aliens, because they close the gap, even though you're killing with the plasma casters, some of the acid kind of splashes over your troops. So you do suffer a little bit of chip damage over time. Again, it's not really a huge big deal, in all honesty. You just have to pull them back and heal them and then send them back in. But I guess I'm trying to come up with, you know, a few weaknesses of using this method. And I mean, it's not perfect, it's not idiot proof. You do have to still be on the ball with using your troops. You can't just send them anywhere and you're going to have success. You do need to move them around and keep your distance. But if you know what you're doing, yeah, I'm not going to struggle anymore. At all. So we're just going to make our way forward. Although there's a few aliens in here, we are probably getting quite close to the Queen already. They have some tougher enemies, obviously closer towards the Queen, but in all honesty, strong single targets are what the Hunters excel at. Because that way they can just concentrate all of their fire on one target. And yeah, there's a few here, so we're just gonna start our kiting mission and just slowly whittle them down. And thankfully, I mean, although lots of smaller ones can be a problem, I mean, we unfortunately did lose one there. I mean, we've lost one Predator in this whole mission so far, like, and how many points are we going to get from claiming their skulls, you know? So, lots of smaller enemies can be a threat, but the blue plasma that you fire has a little bit of AoE on it anyway. And yeah, we're getting a little bit cornered here. I think this is probably the biggest threat is... much like with the Marines, it's not necessarily the aliens themselves, but the terrain. If you're not able to keep running, then you can get kind of put into a bit of an awkward corner situation. So what we're going to do, and you'll notice sometimes I just randomly start attacking the Hive nodes. The reason for doing that is sometimes the enemy AI will perceive that as an attack on their units. So if you start shooting the Hive nodes, not only does it mean that there's no webbing directly underfoot, so that aliens at that position won't be getting healed up constantly, but it also sometimes has the added benefit of drawing some of the enemy aliens out to come to your position, so you can gun them in as they come out. Because obviously the aliens' only chance of beating us at this point is if they swarm you and blitzcrank you with everything they have. If they're stupid like they are being and just send like a small trickle of troops in at a time, it's just 3 points. 3 points and 3 skulls. So we're getting quite close to the Queen. This is, in fact, yeah, we can hear it already. So that's that is where the yeah, that's where all the hosts are. So we're going to just start slowly pulling back. Again, thankfully, the hunters, they are predators at the end of the day. So even if they get hit a few times, they can shrug off a lot of wounds. And we're just going to heal that back up. So that was what, like 6, 7 aliens dealt with? No problem. I think that was a pred alien we're trying to take out. So a little bit tougher, but still no problem. And I will apologize right now if you're hearing that. I don't know why, but for some strange reason when I'm playing this on the emulator, sometimes I would have these weird audio glitches where every time it fires, instead of making the noise it's meant to make when you fire the plaster caster, sometimes it sounds like it's reloading. I don't know why that does that. PlayStation 2 emulation is not the most exact of sciences. And the PlayStation 2 in particular I find to be an absolute bitch. It's why I kind of put off doing any PlayStation 2 walkthroughs for the longest time. And I just stuck... Yeah, I don't know what sound it's making now. And what was that? That was the Queen. That's what I mean. Look how easy. That was an upgraded Queen of 2,500 points. Boom. Done. No problem. Easy peasy. GG. Easy game. And let's just have a quick look at our stats. 125 kills to 1 death. Predator life. Predator 6. The Ancients' Decree. The Ancients judge your clan is superior and to be their eventual successors. But your victory rings hollow as the trials are quickly forgotten amidst a rash of atrocities against the Predator race. Savage War. The human warriors have grown bold. During the trials, they snatched a member of the rival clan and it's assumed human scientists are experimenting on his body. For allowing himself to be captured alive and for not fighting to the death, the kidnapped coward is forever disgraced. Law dictates the coward be put to death at the hand of a predator. Law also prescribes traditional torture ritual for the human leader responsible for his bondage.
The predator coward who allowed himself to be captured has been brought into the nearby human laboratory. First, bring a bloody death to the disgraced predator. Then, search for the perpetrator of this atrocity.
So, this mission, we could quite easily do it using the same strategy we've used previously, which is to just use a shit ton of hunters. But we're not going to do that, and I'll explain why as we go on. So, as before, we're going to stick our Stalker into stand ground stance and put him permanently into cloaking range. So he's going to be used to kind of screen for any units that come towards our shrine. And rather than spending our points on any more predators, what we have to start with is actually relatively decent at doing the job. So the 1,000 points we start with, we're going to be spending on thermal upgrade and the electro upgrade. So we're going to be able to see both marines and synthetics and like sentry guns and anything else from a distance, so that we can kind of take them out from, well, an extended range really. And just with these 2 units, we're just going to go see what damage we can do and gather a few points really, so we can start actually calling in a larger squad to really test some damage. So from this mission onwards, we have access to military predators, and I suppose that makes sense because things have escalated somewhat. So as it mentioned in the start, one of the members of the rival clan has been captured, which is a big no-no in Predator society. It was actually a rival spearmaster specifically, and as such that's kind of escalated things. So if you watch any of the other videos I've made, or if you played the game, you'll know that the 3 campaigns kind of occur at the same time. So at this point, the marine missions that have been going on have also destroyed a number of the Ancients' predator cloaking devices, which means that their main base is now exposed. So obviously they're a little bit concerned at this point, and they're like, right, okay, this is serious. We can't just keep sending in the hunters. We're actually going to send in the heavy guns at this point. And that's why for these final 2 missions, you have access to the military Hydras and the military Blazers, which are just so fun to use. And again, they're ranged units, so you can really put them to good use. A bit of a problem with them is to counteract how powerful they are. They do use up 2 of your population cap for each one. So if you do end up using them, you can't have as many predators, but they're so powerful that they can do the job. And here we have an exosuit. And I said previously that this is one of the bigger threats we come across. Now the Blazer isn't actually going to be doing too much damage to him because he has quite a lot of, well, health and armor. So it's actually the Hunter that's going to be doing the most damage. And all we're going to do is just pretty much just stay out of range of this guy and just very, very slowly whittle him down. So the exosuit does have a very devastating weapon if we get up close. I mean, the military units are quite heavily armoured, so they can withstand it a little bit. But something like the Hunter will just start to get torn to pieces. But they're quite short-ranged, and they're also slow, which is a lethal combination. And there we go. A hefty 750 point bounty you get for taking out the exosuit. And I think part of that is because obviously you can't take the skull of whoever's riding it. So that's given us a big point advantage. We're going to want a few more before we carry on to order some troops, and again there's a very specific reason for that. So we're just going to send them back into the fray and see what more damage we can do, but we are starting to make some of the headway that we want to. So the military units are, I actually think they're quite similar to Hunters, which is why I think that they are good predators. And yeah, that was what we wanted saving up. 1500 points so we can get an upgraded Vanguard. And we can now keep our troops even safer, just like we did in the previous mission. So Vanguards upgraded are actually going to be quite useful here, because there are not that many aliens on this map. It's mostly Marines you're going to be facing. And every single Marine obviously uses projectile weapons. So if you can get a Vanguard early, even just a small group, I mean, we only have 3 Predators now, they can do some serious damage. So we're just going to send them out again and just basically just start point farming. That's what we're going to do for the first portion of this map, is just to get the points we need to slowly build up our numbers. And all we're going to be using is Vanguards and then nothing but ranged units. And let's see, 3 synthetics. Admittedly, they only have pistols, so don't do anything. And there was a failed rocket attack, which was quite useful. We had the Vanguard to take that out, because that would have done a mean chunk of damage. So we're just going to slowly kite back. The Blazer is capable of shooting whilst on the move, but I find it's not as reliable as the Hunters. They don't have quite the same sort of range with it. So the military units, there's a little bit of a trade-off. So they use up 2 slots, as I've mentioned before. They are slower than the Hunters, and a reason for that is just the sheer amount of armor they're wearing. But to make up for that, they're obviously a lot tankier. Instead of 400 hit points, they have 650, and they are wearing very heavy duty armor. So pretty much the main threat you're going to be, yeah, the sniper can't even do anything. So the main threat with the military units is enemy, well, like that. Unfortunately, we got hit by a bunch of machine gun fire at the same time as the rocket, and it managed to sneak through. And yeah, sadly, we've just lost our Hunter there. So I'm just going to pull them back and just kite them. The main threats to the military units are snipers and Sadar troopers from the Marines, which the Vanguard would usually deal with. The only time you're at risk is if you get attacked by multiple units at the same time. And which means that the Vanguard kill screen generator might prioritize taking out machine gun fire when really it should be prioritizing the rockets. And there's no control for that. It just takes out whatever projectiles are closest. So we are going to be using them, but for the time being, we're just going to add a few more hunters just to add in the damage. As we've seen before, the Hydra is very good at spreading fire over a wide field of view, but against certain more heavily armored targets, I mean the flamethrower troop in particular, it's not going to be doing anything. And some of the more heavily armored units like the exosuit, again, it doesn't do as much damage as we'd like. So we're going to mix in some hunters to do a little bit of extra damage. And yeah, Star Trooper and a sniper, and they're just not able to do anything. They just got a little bit of a little bit too much machine gun fire. So just gonna kite those back, and just every time we kill units, obviously we're getting more points, and we're gonna slowly be building up our forces as we go along. So one thing we want to make sure, and you'll notice that we still have the Stalker from the beginning section of the game. With luck, we won't be losing him, but what you want to make sure is if you do lose him, that you replace him. Don't fill your population cap out without at least one Stalker. And there's a very specific reason for that that should hopefully become apparent a little bit later in the mission. But for the time being, our ranged predators are just going to slowly take out all of these guys with our Vanguard. Ping, 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 ping. Just absolutely dealing with anything. And you'll notice this is one of the few missions that I don't really bother moving the shrine for. The area you start with is actually a relatively good defensive position because enemies can only come in from the south. You're kind of stuck in a little bit of a press, and that's a few too many, but this is actually where the Hydra shines, as they get these attacks going across a wide angle of units. If they're spread out in like a kind of linear formation like that, your blazer can just blast all of them. And we finally have our Hydra to work with them. And the Hydras are absolutely devastating, especially once you get the opportunity to upgrade them. You'll see that they can make complete mincemeat of entire groups of enemies. And usually what I find is that the Hydras and the Blazers, if you have both of them, they tend to cover their weaknesses. So the military Hydra's main weakness, I mean, I'd say that Hydras for the most part are probably stronger than the Blazers, because their projectiles can go behind someone and they tend to do more individual damage to targets. The main weakness, I'd say, of the Hydra is the fact that they cannot be firing whilst they're moving, where the Blazers can. And yeah, we're taking some smart gun shots because the Vanguard was too far ahead, but it basically did no damage because they're just so heavily armed that it's barely even worth noting. Unfortunately, the enemy Marines are being a little bit stupid here as they're coming around that corner. They're just getting picked off one at a time. So this is the perfect situation. The Hunters took a little bit more damage because they are not nearly as heavily armored. But well, just look at our points now, over 2,000 points, and we haven't even collected their skulls yet. So we've made short work of them. I do usually like to still get a few Hunters mixed in with the Hydras and Blazers, even on this map, just to help with a little bit of the diversity of the damage that you can deal. I find usually 2 Hydras and 2 Blazers are more than enough, and then maybe 2 Vanguards just to increase your chances of blocking any kind of projectiles, and then anything you have left spared over, I usually like to go for the Hunters. Again, mostly just because the Hunters do a very similar role to the Hydras, but they can do it whilst moving, so all of them together make this kill squad that you just cannot... the Marines just cannot deal with. So yeah, those are all the remaining troops. And the 3 we've kept here, we're just going to keep them... cloaked up. I find, again, because it's in quite a nice defensive position with the shrine there, you don't really need to worry too much about making any pred guns. Just having a Stalker and whatever predators you have left over stay there should be relatively okay. And the reason for that is that we're going to be clearing out pretty much everything with this squad. that it's not likely that many are even going to get there. And now we have just this absolute death murder squad. And there's an exosuit just out of range, so let's see how quickly we can make short work of this. If they want to fire. Move a little bit closer. We could close the gap with the Vanguards, but as I've said before, the Vanguards won't be able to stop the exosuit's machine guns, and yeah, very little threat at all. The Hydras do extra damage to synthetic type organisms, and you'll notice that exosuit synthetics, they don't last long. And it's another benefit you'll have when you have the Hydras as well. So or I should say the Blazers. The Hydras will usually be the ones delivering the killing blow, but as long as the Blazer has set them on fire, then the synthetics can't regenerate even if they're upgraded. So there's two main entrances to the Marine base, which is to a bit north of our position and to the west, and then right bottom at the south midsection of the map. But before we go into the base, what we want to do is go and find the landing beacons on the outside and just clear those out. And that's just to stop any of them from attacking our shrine or from coming up behind us while we're moving around. And also to get more points. And as you can see, that there's so little they can do. It's it's not even funny just how effective. So I haven't even upgraded the Blazers or Hydras yet, and they just can't do anything. There was an Aurora shot that went through, so a tiny bit of damage, and that's like literally it. So the Blazers, once you've upgraded them, not only do they get these really cool and weird mustaches, it's kind of Japanese theme inspired, I find. But they now have dual Blazers, so it effectively just doubles the amount of damage that they can do. And they just look really cool. I'm a big fan of them. And that's another sniper. That's just, yeah. You can't do a goddamn thing against our Vanguard's kill screen generators. Let's just take these heads and hopefully we can upgrade our Hydras as well as the Blazers. And this, I mean, the snipers alone, you get like 300 points for their heads. There we go. Almost 1,600 points. Just unstoppable forces. There's a little bit of a power trip you go on. So when you upgrade the Hydras, normally they can only hit 3 targets at a time, but now their missiles will split off into smaller missiles. So they can hit up to 9 targets at a time. And considering how fragile the Marines are at the best of times, it means you just disintegrate entire platoons as if they didn't exist. So the optional objective of this mission is to collect all of the pieces of equipment that the disgraced Predator is being researched upon, which means that you're going to have to cover most of the base. So now we have most of the points. We're going to try and move a little bit quicker. Admittedly, the military Predators and the Vanguards are a little bit slower than the other ones, but we can attack while moving, so we should still make short work. Took a little bit of damage from the snipers, but thankfully they are so heavily armed that I think they take like 5 or 6 sniper shots to take down. So a sniper shot sneaking through here and there isn't really going to do that much damage, especially when you can keep healing up on the move. It's kind of disgusting just how overpowered this is. Just sentry guns doing absolutely nothing. And yeah, once those missiles come in, they get churned out. So that's why we've upgraded the vision so that we have the Predator Tech Vision as well as the Thermal and Electro. It's just to really help us locate these 3 items. They do appear in the same places each time, no matter what, but I find it's just a little bit. So sometimes you can kind of move past it and you forget that you come to an area where it is. So I just find that it helps out. So you have to collect because the disgraced Predator was a Spearmaster. You have to collect their helmet, you have to collect their armor, and you have to collect their spear, and that will be the optional objective of this mission. And you have 35 minutes to do this, so it's not the longest in terms of some of the other campaigns, but it's more than enough time to get doing what you need to do as long as you move quickly. the biggest risk you're going to face is just not being able to find the items, because the base can be quite big, and then you run out of time. And as you see, yeah, those ones just getting minced from a distance. So the only aliens you're going to come across in this mission is ones that are in holding cells like this. It seems to be that the humans were doing some kind of research on them, and I imagine perhaps that's why there's so many sentry guns in that corridor leading down, just in case they get out. But the strange thing I find with them is the doors aren't locked. Once you get close to them, they just open up automatically. It's very strange. So here's our first piece of equipment, which is his armor, found at the very southeast section of the map. And now we're going to just proceed forward through to the rest of the base. So 35 minutes, relatively large amount of time. I do find that the aliens you come across are the closest thing you're going to have to a bit of a threat to your squad. And the reason for that is that a lot of the aliens can close the distance relatively quickly, and your Vanguard kill screen generators are obviously not going to be very effective. And much like as is the case in the Marine campaign, where I'm quite cautious of using flamethrower units against aliens, the Blazers can be kind of a double-edged sword when dealing with them, especially if they have runners. And the reason for that is the runners can close the gap so quickly that usually you can't kill them before they've already closed in. And normally a runner won't do a huge amount of damage. They're relatively weak aliens. However, if they die whilst on fire, which, considering we now have 4 bullshit beams of death sweeping across the enemy, chances are they are going to be getting caught on fire. They will explode in our faces. Fortunately, these ones seem like that one just did, just a scorched earth where it is, but fortunately they're a little bit dumb. And you might notice that these aliens are a little bit different because they're all yellow. And if you play through the Alien campaign, you will understand why. Essentially, Dr. Kadinsky, who's like, I guess, the lead scientist, the lead researcher amongst the humans, was doing experiments not only in the Predators, hence why he's caught one of our Spearmasters here, but also in the aliens. And they were trying to understand, you know, if you've seen the movies, how Weyland-Yutani is absolutely obsessed with the aliens for the bioweapons division to an absolutely unhealthy standard. And this just kind of continues on with that theme. So Dr. Kadinsky has created kind of like an alternate strain of aliens. I'm not sure why. It not really explained why he did it, other than just for research purposes. I've wondered, oh, are these meant to be like an even stronger strain? But they're not. They're absolutely identical to the normal aliens. On the fact that they're yellow, so arguably they're less camouflaged, and maybe that's also another reason that with them being yellow, they can't blend in as well and ambush. And I then thought maybe it's a case that the K-series was supposed to be more controllable than the normal aliens. Like, you could control them with pheromones or some kind of nonsense. But it's a key part of the Alien campaign that they break out and go crazy anyway. So I have absolutely no idea what the K-series is meant to be in any way different to the normal sections of aliens, other than the fact that they're just a way for the alien people, or if you're playing through the Alien campaign, to fight other aliens, you know, just to mix up the gameplay. And I'm guessing they've just put the case series here as a little bit of continuity to say, oh look, they were actually working on this kind of thing. And I mean, we can see that these yellow aliens don't attack other humans, so maybe they did have control of them at one point, and then when the Predators came in, like in this mission, and started fucking shit up, we somehow messed with that. I don't know, it's not really explained all that much. It feels as if there was a lot of parts of this game that was left on the cutting room floor. Now you'll notice as we pass through this door, it doesn't open, unlike the other ones. And there is a very specific reason for that. This room here is the room where Dr. Kadinsky is going to be. So this room will only open once we have killed the disgraced Predator. And this room specifically is also why we wanted to save a Stalker for this whole region. So we're going to move them up there. because we're actually getting relatively close to taking out the disgraced predator. And, bloody hell. Flamethrower units from the humans can be a bit of a pain, but fortunately you're quite well armed, so they're not too much of a threat. So the reason you want to be careful there is twofold, really. When the room opens up, Dr. Kadinsky will be found at the very back of the room, and there'll be 2 sentry guns either side him. And the room is filled with upgraded snipers, upgraded Zadar troopers, just smart gunners, everything that can cause you a problem. So if you try and get close to that room, you'll find that you're going to start getting sniped by upgraded snipers through the walls before you even get to the door. And a big problem with fighting them, and yeah, I'm just going to upgrade everything here because I got the points for it. A big problem with trying to fight them head on is that we've seen our Hydras and Blazers are very effective, and our Hunters are as well. They're not exactly the most indiscriminate with their targeting, however. The Hydras will start sending missiles to hit units behind them. The Blazers will sweep an area of flame. And Dr. Kadinsky only has 75 hit points. So if you go in there with your Hydras and Blazers, chances are you're going to lose some of them because they're going to be getting sniped by the upgraded snipers. And chances are you're going to kill Dr. Kadinsky in the crossfire and fail the mission outright. And that's why we very specifically want to keep just one Stalker alive. Because although there are sentry guns at the very south side of the room, they were not smart enough to put synthetics in the room. So if you keep your Stalker just on the outside of the room, they can't be spotted. And with them staying in cloaked mode, you can just very slowly kill all of the bullshit units, and they'll just stand there and take it, and you can kill all of them without any problem. And again, it's one of the... Well, it's basically the last point in this game where just a group of hunters is not going to do you any use. And there's the disgraced predator. So let's just... I'm not even going to give him a proper death. He can just burn to death. And yeah, now that he's killed, yeah, look at all of those troops that would cause you a problem, which aren't going to cause us a problem because the Stalker's single-handedly going to take them all out. Just a huge blob of blue on our map. And we're not even going to bother watching the Stalker do it. His cloaking will last more than long enough to take all of them out. And we're just going to keep on pushing forward because we're looking for the last piece of equipment, the spear from the disgraced predator. And yeah, with the attacks being indiscriminate, I know the predators tend to have a little bit of an honor code in that they don't kill people who aren't proper warriors, but I'm guessing we're going to go with the idea that these are now military, like, you know, we're not doing honor anymore. This is serious business. So with the Blazers firing their flame beam attacks across the place, there's going to be quite a few charred scientists along the way. They stopped caring about honor at this point. And yeah, the hunters are also can't do that final section because there is a little bit of splash damage from their plasma casters. And the 2 sentry guns that are protecting Dr. Kadinsky are so close, yeah, those 2, that if you try to do it with a with hunters, then the splash damage from the plasma caster runs the risk of killing him as well. It doesn't always, it seems to be very temperamental, but it's really better just not to risk it. So we're just going to move through, and the final piece of equipment should be at the northwest side of this space. We're just going to keep moving until we find it. The Stalker, as we can see, has already completely taken out that room single-handedly. And I do find that room's a little bit bullshit if you don't know what to expect. I mean, it's so easy to accidentally kill him. And yeah, that sentry gun's gone. And we're going to fire at the other one. Just a room full of dead... There's not even any infantry in there. It's just rockets and snipers for... You know, because rockets and sniper rifles are well renowned for their effectiveness at close range combat. I mean, I suppose you can kind of give the smart guns a little bit of a pass, but even then, with guns that big, usually you want something... You want shotguns, really. So you wanted a few synthetics, they just didn't bother with them. And yeah, sorry Mr. Scientist Man, but you are in direct line of fire of that sentry gun. So we're just going to collect the last piece of artifact, get our Predator Spear, wait for it to actually register that we've done that. Are they... There's a bloody table in the way. They're actually getting blocked by the table. Gordon Bennett. Just moved them out there. One of our Vanguards got quite low, but we've managed to heal them up. So yeah, they're all dealt with. And then we're just going to move our Stalker in to apprehend the good doctor. And we are finished. Make sure you just set him to... no attack mode, just in case. And yeah, it's nice that they tell you this after you've cleared the room out. But hunt successful, Doctor captured, on to the final mission. Let's see, 164 kills to 1 death. That's pretty good. Predator 7, Extinction, the Purification Hunt. Atrocities against the Predator race continue unbridled and must be stopped once and for all. Dr. Kadinsky's experiments with the captured predator and the alien life cycle have created the impossible, a predalien queen. The tainted bloodline perpetuated by this beast destroys the integrity of the predator race and is unbearable to the Council of Ancients. This crime may only be resolved with a ritualistic purification of the contaminated hive. The Ancients present your clan with a sacrificial associate, the Ancient who is Keeper. I never quite understood why you have to kill all the aliens before detonating the nuclear device. Surely the purpose of detonating a nuclear device is to kill all the aliens, you know? I never fully understood that, but it is what it is. Right, so relatively early on in this campaign, you're going to get accosted by a large number of targets. So what we're going to do is something that's a little bit risky. We're going to put our predators just behind our shrine and let the shrine take the initial bit of damage before our melee predators run out and start defending the shrine. And that's precisely why, because they have fucking Sidar troopers, which do a mean number of damage to our shrine, but it's taking enough to survive it. And now we send everyone in to start cutting them to pieces. We're going to try and use the predator cloaking, because we are so near the shrine, to mitigate some of the damage we take. And there we go. Managed to take out the first bunch of enemies without too much in the way of casualties. You don't really have enough points to like really call anyone in at the beginning, so you need to win the first hunt or the first kind of assault to do well. And there is quite a big risk to you actually losing your shrine in this, more than most other ones. So we're going to make use of 2 PredGuns. I'm going to position them just a little bit further than our shrine, so hopefully when we attacked, those are the first ones that are going to get taken out. And now we get hit by a pack of predaliens. I don't know how true it is. I haven't actually gone through the means of actually testing it. But I did hear someone say that on the final mission of the Alien campaign, if you were to use... Well, you'd probably have to use the cheat so that they don't die. And if you get a predalien very early on and go for the upgrade, which means every time they win a fight they gain more HP, like this guy, this predalien has 1550 HP, and you can tell by his elongated spines that he's a stronger variant. If you do that and get the one predalien to kill everything on the final map in the final alien mission, he ends up coming up with, allegedly, again I haven't tested it, over 6,500 HP. So it doesn't seem that there's a limit to how strong they can get, which I just find hilarious. So we've killed the first kind of assault against our position, and as I've said many times before, we're going to do the tried and tested shit ton of hunters and just slowly whittle them down. So the rest of them, we're not going to be able to afford to keep them all cloaked. But you do want to keep a fair few of your predators near your shrine. I mean, even with the PredGuns, you probably want to keep the other ones back to help defend it. And the reason for that is we have this Ancient that if the Ancient dies, mission failed. Now the Ancient is pretty strong. He has pretty decent armor. He has pretty decent health. He doesn't get staggered like the Brawlers does, but he's essentially kind of like a variant on the Brawler. Instead of using the wrist blades, he uses twin daggers instead. And yeah, we're going to have one Stalker to help defend it as well, keep him permanently cloaked as we normally do. And then the last of the population is going to be used towards creating another Hunter. So we have a larger population cap. Oh, and I think a facehugger may have taken one of our Hunters out. That's frustrating. So on this mission you have a larger population cap than any of the previous one. They bombed up by an extra 4 from the previous missions, which means now the Predator population cap is only 1 less than what the Marines have. The Marines will always have 25, the Aliens always have 45, and then the Predators, it kind of like goes up from 12 to 24 over the course of the mission. And we're just gonna slowly kite these guys out. Again, being quite wary of that bloody facehugger, because that's going to do a mean chunk of damage. And use that to slowly gain the points we needed. And again, I think this happened on Mission 5. A little bit of a sound glitch with our Predator hunting cannons. Instead of coming across and hearing like the pew pew, is there any way I can describe it, of the plasma caster, every time it was firing, it sounds like a Predator making a noise. As just problems with the emulators, I guess. I don't know if it somehow like crosses up the sound files at certain points, but yeah, it is what it is. So we're going to split our Predators almost into like 2 groups. So the Ancient and whatever units we started with, we're going to set to defend the shrine and the base with the PredGuns, and then anything that's left over, we're going to put them into Hunters and have them slowly take out the Predator base. And being quite careful of facehuggers, they are actually one of the more dangerous units to face. So there is a encampment of Marines on the northeast side of this map, but we're not really going to be bothering with them. Main reason because we don't have to. It's neither an optional objective or a main objective to take them out. And if you were to start investing resources taking them out, because they are so heavily armoured, we're probably going to have to go for Vanguards, especially upgraded Vanguards, to be able to clear them out effectively. And what you'll find is, because you get started with so many units at the beginning, although we have a larger population cap, unless we actively go out of the way and kill off some of the Predators that we start with, we don't actually have that much space for them. So we're going to want to be using the... Like I said, we only have about 7 or 8 Hunters here. And again, I suppose this kind of emphasizes just how effective this strategy is, that even just a relatively small group on the final mission can do what you need to do. Another reason why we're using the Hunters, and it's one thing I find very, very frustrating about the ideas going into the game design of this mission in particular. So, as is the case with most strategy games, you usually don't have access to the highest tier units until the later missions. So with the Predators, we only have access to the military Hydras and Blazers on the final and penultimate level. So this one and the previous one. And I'm guessing the idea was that they wanted to try and show that even in dire times, the Predators are a honor-bound hunter race. Or maybe they were just trying to find some way of like really upping difficulty. But for reasons best understood by the developers, the optional objective to this mission is to not recruit... bollocks. Oh, that facehugger was retarded, never mind. It was run past him. Is to not recruit any military Hydras. Okay, that one wasn't. That one was a bit more on point with it. Is to not recruit any military Hydras or Blazers. So you only have 2 missions in which you can actually make use of these units, which are, let's face it, they're pretty damn cool to use. I quite like just having our death squad from the previous mission. And to add insult to injury, if you want to successfully complete all the optional objectives and get your gold medals, you're then not even allowed to use them on one of the 2 that you can even buy them on. I find it a little bit frustrating, and in some ways it's not the worst. Like, the hunters are so effective on this. I mean, I've lost a few because of fuse facehuggers, but they've already done a pretty significant number to the aliens. And the hunters are quicker, so you can use them to just basically run around and... What are you doing? Get out of here. You can use them to kind of like run around and hide. And as you can see, then there was a really big section, sorry, a contingent, I guess I should say, of aliens that kind of just ran past us, and we're able to just slowly break them down. And especially now, we're just gonna lure them back to our main shrine and just absolutely just nuke the fuckers. And we have more than enough points that if we lose a few every here and there, it's not too much of a problem. I do find that although the Predators are the strongest race of all of them by a pretty wide margin, I'd say, and as you'd expect with them being Predators, they're the most technologically advanced and they are individually quite strong, I find they tend to struggle against the aliens a lot more than they struggle against the humans. I mean, as you saw in the previous mission, you just grab a few Vanguards and there's barely anything they can do to stop you. Or a few upgraded Vanguards, I should say. Whereas the aliens have a lot more tools at their disposal that you can't just use... Okay, I said that. We are using hunters. You can't just use one strategy fits all. Although saying that, like, obviously we are using the hunters here to just slowly kite them, but you do still need a little bit of skill when using this. You need to be able to actually move them around. So... Whereas with the previous one, it was just a death ball that nothing could touch us with. Even if we were allowed military Hydras and Blazers, they would run the risk of them running up close, and then we'd have like the runners exploding. They could quickly close the distance and do a little bit of damage. Just in general, I mean, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but what I would say is that there's almost like a combat triangle of sorts in this game. So Predators beat Marines pretty handily. Marines, if you have the right formation and tools, beat Aliens pretty handily, just because they have a lot more AoE and CC, especially with like the upgraded Sadar Troopers. And then Aliens tend to beat Predators. I mean, obviously it's not as simple as that. The Predators overall are the stronger race, and in some of the missions, when they're controlled by the AI, their limitation of having a small population cap means that they can hold their own against almost anything. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, in terms of the biggest threat when you play the campaigns, so when you play the Marines, the aliens aren't a huge threat as long as you're well equipped for them, whereas the Predators absolutely are. When you play the Predators, the Marines aren't a huge threat, again, if you're well equipped for them, whereas the aliens absolutely are. Except on Mission 2, but that's just because we don't actually have all the equipment we need. And then with the aliens, the Predators really aren't much of a threat at all. Usually you can just absolutely swarm them, but the Marines can absolutely fuck you up if you're not careful. So that's where I'm going with my very long-winded explanation. And also the aliens in general just have far more ways of defeating Predator cloaking. The Marines only have access to the synthetic and the sentry guns, whereas the aliens, I mean, they've got Queens, Praetorians, Runners, the Hive node webbing that is fucking everywhere. So there's a lot more tools that they have at their disposal to take you out. And in general, I mean, other than the military units, they tend not to have a huge amount of like AoE damage. They can just absolutely swarm you, just take you out with numbers, which, you know, that's what you kind of expect from them. Are they saying that we're just gonna, yeah, the runners do get close in, we're just gonna quickly run around. The hunters, again, not the most heavily armoured, but more than enough to deal with a few crappy runners. So the main objective of this, obviously, is to take out the Predalien Queen, which probably sounds kind of, oh, what's this going to be like? And it's quite disappointing, I find. In fact, you'll also see with the Hive, there's a lot of Praetorians. A lot of Predaliens and Praetorians trying to make it quite difficult. But the Predalien Queen, there's nothing special about her whatsoever. other than the fact that she is a very slightly reskinned version of a normal queen. She will always be upgraded, so she'll have 2,500 hit points. And that also means that any aliens nearby her will go into a frenzy. So she's basically just a strong queen, but there's like nothing else special to her other than the fact that she is reskinned. So she looks ever so slightly different, but in terms of her animations, her combat stats, everything else is the same. It's not like the Pred Alien Queen means that you make Pred Aliens from everything you come across. No. It's literally no different whatsoever. And I feel like there was a little bit of a missed opportunity there. They could have done something a little bit more unique rather than just making her a slightly brown queen. And as you can see, yeah, every now and then you'll get a few of the Marines coming round to harass you, which is why we want a few kept back to kind of defend the main compound. And if you want to take out the Marines, you know, by all means, that is something you can go and achieve. But I find it's just not worth it. They're quite a pain to take out. You can usually defend against them relatively easily just by having a few back at home. And we only have 39 minutes for this mission, and that is a decently generous amount of time. I mean, it's the most time for any Predator mission, but I'd much rather just get to it and start trying to take out the aliens. Because unlike with other campaigns, so for instance with Mission 6 for the Marines, you don't have to take out the aliens on that map, but you find you just constantly getting attacked from behind if you don't. Whereas on this mission, I find they don't really cause nearly as much of an issue that you need to worry about them. So I honestly think it's just better just to ignore them. And oh my god, see, absolutely accosted that one poor hunter, and he's still completely fine. I mean, at this point, if we lost any hunters, it wouldn't be an issue. We're already up to over 4,000 points, and that's just going to slowly get bigger and bigger as we go along. We don't even need to be collecting skulls at this point. Usually, I only really do it if I have to wait for their energy to recharge anyway. So rather than just sitting around doing anything, might as well do something at least vaguely useful. So there aren't any predators or any kind of predator artifacts, so there's no point going for the Pred Tech upgrade unless you literally just want to use it because you got an excess of points and you want to find something to spend it on. Mostly it's just electrical that you'll want to focus on, and a little bit of the thermal for, you know, the occasional humans. And yeah, this guy is still infected with some spores, so let's let his energy charge up a bit. So I'm not entirely certain how all of the conversion ratios work in regards to the energy. I think in general, 1 energy point will equate to 1 health point. However, when they're trying to take out certain status ailments, so if they have like cystic stuff, or if they have more acid scarring, which is affecting their health, or if they have spores from runners, it does seem to use up a larger chunk of energy to cure that. I have absolutely no idea what those points are. I want to say it's between like 50 to 100, but I'll be honest, I'm completely pulling those numbers out of my arse. Unless someone were to like go in and open the game files, I wouldn't know. And I don't know how on earth how people do that with like PlayStation ones. Like with PC ones, obviously it's a lot easier to actually go in and have a look and see what's going on. You can just open up the files. But when it comes to like console games, how on earth do people do that? I'm technologically illiterate when it comes to aspects like this. So it's something I'm genuinely curious with. So yeah, as we can see, the hunters against some of these stronger enemies, not a problem. The Ravager there, as long as we keep the distance. Like, the Ravagers are very, very tough and will do a shit ton of damage if they get close to us. But they're also a lot slower than most of the other aliens. So our hunters can quite easily outrun them. And yeah, two of them taken down. Oh no, wait, he's not dead yet. Now he's dead. And we can go and collect their skull and get a hefty chunk of points. So if ever you start to get kind of run down by some of the aliens, all you do is just kind of run your way back out. And I think one of my predators got caught out there, got caught on some kind of terrain and wasn't running with the rest of the pack. If you don't keep with the pack, you get left behind. there's just the sheer amount of Praetorians. I mean, I know the sheer amount of aliens we come across in this map probably isn't as big as some of the others, especially for like maybe like some of the marine campaigns and stuff. But there's just a very large number of stronger aliens, you know, like Praetorians, Predaliens, Ravagers. And I find Hunters, like, it kind of... They're specialized to that. I find they have more trouble with Runners. Runners not necessarily going to be doing enough to kill you outright, but they're going to be infecting you, they're going to start vomiting, and the other aliens can kind of catch up while you're incapacitated. Oh, look at that. 700 points for the Ravager. Oh, there was 3 Ravagers. I didn't even see. And it's funny because when you see big things like this, rather than going, holy shit, that's a Ravager, I need to think of my strategy to how to deal it, you think, holy shit, that's a big alien. That's tons of points I'm going to get. You are huge. That must mean you have huge guts. So the alien hive is kind of... there's like a central chamber in the middle, and then you have these kind of caverns that run off to the side. A little bit like, imagine what you'd expect from like an ant or a termite colony. And as you can probably imagine, the queen is going to be found in that central chamber. So we're just going to do a bit of a run around the outside, see if we can pick off any stragglers before we make our way towards the big thing. And there she is, the predator, or pred-alien queen, I should say. And it's something a little bit unique. Yeah, you can see she does look different quite a bit. She's very brown, and she is a brown queen. She's an exotic queen. But she, you know, she has the spines on the back, but she acts completely the same as a normal queen. And in actual fact, it actually causes them a little bit of trouble, because there is a key point on taking out the pred-alien queen on this mission. What it means, and yeah, as soon as you take out the pred queen, all of her royal guard that really should have done a better job of defending them is going to come out. So we're just going to run out of the base. Unfortunately, I think one of our predators got separated there, so they've been taken out. But we're just going to run and gun, kite them down. Because you have this unique interaction with there being a pred-alien queen, what it means is that even though there are tons and tons and tons of Praetorians in this map, none of the other ones will form a royal cocoon and turn into another queen. It just doesn't seem to be in the AI's ability on this map. You have the pred-alien queen, and that's all that matters. And you also notice that when we killed the pred-alien queen, or I should say when we took her skull, we didn't get any points. Instead, whoever took her skull now has this little red bar underneath them. And we have to deliver this all the way back to the shrine. So we don't get any points for doing it, which is a little bit bullshit. But to be fair, we've already got 9,000. We haven't even collected all those Praetorian skulls. So points are not something we're going to struggle with. And the humans being cheeky bastards again. So let's just cut them down to size. Show them who's boss. So we're going to bring our hunters back, heal them up. It also gives us an opportunity to replace the 2 that we lost while we... move back and deliver our skull. As you can see, yeah, we could use a little bit of more energy, because they've exhausted all of their current energy supply, and they still haven't been able to fully heal themselves up. That's that weird like ch-ch-ch-ch kind of noise it makes, which probably sounds nothing like that. It sounds like that in my head, but if ever you've done any kind of recording, you'll know that what you sound like in your head and what you sound like in a recording is very different. I thought I had a very deep, rough, masculine voice, and then I did my first recording. It's like, oh my god, I sound like a lisping queer. Damn, that's that's not what I expected to sound like. So yeah, just get that predator. Where are you going? Come back to the shrine, you fucking asshole. So yeah, we'll just get this predator to move in on the shrine when he feels like it. We can try and separate him from the others. You have to get quite close to the shrine to actually dock it. And I don't know what happens if you then lose the shrine. I think if you lose the shrine once, like obviously if you lose the shrine and you only had one shrine before you gather the skull, then it will be a failed hunt. because obviously you can't put the skull back and it'll just end it right there. I don't know what happens if the shrine blows up after you've retrieved the skull. I've never gone out of my way to test it. It would be quite interesting to see. I'm just going to move these guys a little bit closer. And you may notice, I mean, it's occurred on some of the other missions as well, that if you hold down the X button to try and select a bunch of predators and you have the shrine in that, it will never automatically select the shrine. You have to manually select that. I think that's so when you're going back and you're trying to quickly collect your predators to go for a bit of a hunt, you don't bring the shrine on. Because I think the idea is you're not really meant to be using the shrine for combat. I mean, it's so bloody slow, I can understand that. It's meant to be able to defend itself, but it's not meant to be something that you send into combat. Unlike with the aliens, once you upgrade the Queen, you want her spearheading vanguards and just ripping apart everything you come across. Not only does she do a lot of damage herself, and she has like 2,500 health, why would you not use her? But she also sends all of the transbreed aliens around her into a frenzy to do more damage. So it makes sense with them, and obviously with the Marines, you want to keep them all together. The context's so bloody weak. But yeah, no, with the Predators, you're not really meant to send the leaders, quote unquote, the shrine in. Dear God, that is a lot of Pred aliens. Oh God, we've actually lost one again. So yeah, this isn't a strategy this is a strategy that works quite effectively, and I do still stand by the fact that I think it is the best way of clearing them out. But it does struggle a little bit more with the with the aliens, the Pred aliens. So it struggles a little bit more against the alien faction than it would against Marines. And maybe if we didn't have to have so much of our population cap used up on, let's face it, kind of useless predators, so the Brawlers and the Spearmasters, which aren't really doing much, if we actually went out of our way to get them killed first and then called in more hunters, we'd probably be doing a little bit better, so we'd have more DPS. But I don't like sending predators to their death. It's always been one of my problems when I play strategy games, is that I'm definitely better at it now, but for the longest time, if I play like the Dune or Age of Empires 2, especially now that I play it on multiplayer, sometimes you have to delete certain units to free up the population cap for other ones. And when I played as a kid, I was like, no, I can't just kill someone. Like, what kind of dictator am I that I just start killing peasants because they're no longer useful, you know? Obviously, there is a degree of separation when you're playing a game that you should have, and you have to realize, yes, it's a game. You have to try and minimax it. It's not an accurate representation of life. It was what I got very good and also very competitive at Call of Duty games. I used to play World at War. I think that was my favourite. And I think I'd only ever played team deathmatches. I didn't do objectives. And I think my KDA on that was something ridiculous, like 3.5 or 4 to 1. And even that, I was like, no, it's not good enough, because it means if I die even once, that means if I was a soldier in World War II, I would have died, and I wanted to be a soldier that survived. Which, when you're a little bit older, obviously you realise that's kind of retarded. That's not... Despite... Call of Duty is not an accurate reflection of real life. Something that I wish my 10-year-old brain was aware of. When you get shot in a war, you don't just hide behind some cover for 10 seconds and you're perfectly well off. War isn't like that. In fact, a lot of the time, if you survive or don't survive in warfare, it has nothing to do with your skill necessarily. There's a certain amount of luck involved. I mean, when you can get taken out by a stray bullet from hundreds of meters away and you had no chance of like dealing with it, like, you didn't really decide whether or not you lived or died, which is kind of placement. I suppose it's kind of the same even if you were to go back to kind of medieval warfare or even warfare beforehand. Oh, you think whether you live or die based on your skill? It's probably whether or not you're on the front line or not. Oh, what's that? You're an archer? You'll probably be fine. Oh, what's that? You're literally in the Vanguard? Yeah, we're just clearing out the last of them, because again, for unbeknownst reasons, we have to clear out the cave of aliens before we nuke to clear out the cave of aliens. I don't get it. The only thing I can imagine is obviously the aliens are very adaptive, and they have like kind of like the black spores and the hive nodes and whatnot. And I'm guessing it's to make sure that there is no trace of DNA, not just for the fact that they might be able to find a way, life finds a way, for the aliens to repopulate themselves, but also in case the humans come after here, in case they find traces of DNA. I'm guessing that's what it was, that they wanted to completely nuke the whole thing, so there's no traces, that other scientists like Dr. Kandinsky can come in, you know, find trace amounts of DNA and start their experiments all over again. I'm assuming that's the idea, but it still doesn't explain why we can't just nuke the fucking thing as soon as we get a the ancient in. I mean, I can understand. Okay, you want to take the Pred alien skull to show that we are superior to this race. Okay, I get it. But why do you have to kill every bloody alien on the map? It just comes across as busy work, and it comes across as very kind of gamey. And I also don't understand, why does the Ancient have to sacrifice themselves? Why can't you just drop the nuke and retreat out? I can kind of understand the humans using a synthetic to do it, because, okay, synthetics do have personalities and they, you know, don't want to die. His aliens made very clear with Bishop, I might be synthetic, but I'm no idiot. I'd rather not get torn to pieces. But, you know, you could at least make the argument that, okay, it's not a loss of life. But the Predators seem to, you know, that... Like, what, would you not want them to die in combat, since they seem to be so honor-bound and warrior race? I don't know, it seems weird. It seems a completely unnecessary sacrifice. And I have to wonder if part of that is, again, just because of the limitations of the game engine, that when you drop the nuke, it was going to go off no matter what, so they wanted you to have some kind of control over it. I don't know. It seems kind of bizarre. But we've cleared out most of the alien hive now, so it's really just a case of going through whatever kind of nooks and crannies there are left and see if we can find wherever these last alien stragglers are. A lot of the aliens that are populating the map at the start will just stay in spots until you move there. And I'm guessing the reason why they had aliens like that is just so... I mean, if the AI controlled it, they didn't just send the entire force to attack you at the start. There seems to kind of be two sets of AI sets of units that the AI controls. So there's ones that are just on the map that won't react until you get within a certain distance, and then there's other ones that actively seem to be controlled by the AI and will, you know, go out, bring in comatose units for extra corpses. Like, they actually play like a faction. And then there's others that just seem to sit there, just, yeah, like these guys. Literally just sitting there, just waiting for us to appear to clear out. I don't know why that is. There's not a lot of strategy games that I do this. Like, I suppose from the Age of Empires, they probably have triggers so that units will only stay in one spot until you have got to the point of attacking them. But it just comes across as bizarre, and especially as you saw in the earlier missions when we're taking out the Marines, like the Trial of Stealth mission 4. The Marines are just standing there until they slowly get killed by the Stalkers. They don't even react. Like, it just comes across as very, very obvious when that happens. Strange, weird game design. But as I said before, I think this game was kind of rushed. Like, there's no ending cinematic or anything to it, so I'm guessing they just didn't have the resources. And yeah, that guy, we kept shooting at him because I imagine he was going to go into regenesis, which is why the advanced hunter plasma casters will usually set them on fire to stop them from regenerating. That's why we kept shooting them even after it was going down, just to make sure it doesn't regenerate. I think that's like 4 or 5 4 or 5 ravagers at this point. There's a lot. I don't think there's any carriers, though, unless they've been kind of killed in the crossfire and just haven't noticed them. If we came across a carrier with a whole bunch of facehuggers attached to it, that would actually be very dangerous to us if it just spewed facehuggers on us. No, Jenkins! You were too young! Fucking leg it, Jenkins! You wanker! There's got to be like different regions of Predators, right? There's got to be like some Cockney British predators whose mandibles are a little bit fucked and don't quite look proper. Alright, most hope there's just a few areas of to look through. Really, it's just a case of trying to find wherever the fog of war is and go down that route, and then just pray that's where a couple of the straggling aliens are. It can be a bit annoying because usually you would see aliens as green on your minimap. However, even just Hive nodes appear as green on your minimap, so try to find the last of them. It's bloody frustrating. And I guess that's why they give you 39 minutes, so you actually have a little bit of time to make sure you can find them. And again, also a reason why I don't like going after the Marines. You can absolutely do it even on hard mode in the time limit, but why make things more difficult when you could make things easy, you know? Play smart, not hard. Or something like that. But where are these last few little xenomorphs? Where are you bastards? There's a little section near the center of the of the main chamber, and I think there's a few corridors in the southwest. So I'll just have a little look around to see where those guys are. This is always the fun part of an RTS, the hunting for the final parts. Which again, why do we need to kill the aliens? Why not just make the objective to kill the Queen and then just nuke the fucking thing from orbit? Just, you know, the Marines had the right idea. We ain't sticking around. I say we get in a dropship and nuke the damn place from orbit. Oh, well, actually, it has quite a significant dollar value assigned to it. Just fucking nuke it. Nuke it all. My apologies. Trying to find these last ones has driven me mad. As I mentioned before, another reason why I don't like going after the Marines is, yes, you have 39 minutes, but you're going to be cutting it a bit close if you get into this unfortunate position where you are searching everywhere and you don't know wherever the last few remnants of the aliens are. Also have to question how effective these upgrades that Dr. Kadinsky did to the alien life cycle, because one would think, considering how important the Predalien Queen is, I mean, it's actually a bit of a downgrade considering once you have her as the matriarchy of your hive, you can't create other queens. And I know gameplay reasons, but work with me here. And you also create a race where all the offsprings from the Predalien Queens don't even go out of their way to protect the matriarchy, despite the fact that if she is dead, the entire colony is done for. I mean, you would think in that situation, every other alien would throw their lives to try and protect it, but that's not the case, because apparently there's a couple of cowardly bastards just sitting in a corner somewhere. It's not even attacking properly. He was just glitching out on the hunter. You are the worst at Predalien ever. In fact, not just Predalien, you're just the worst alien, period. You are disgrace. Dishonor on you. Dishonor on your fucking clan. And now we're all done. So you can just move the Ancient to that center point and detonate the nuke. Doing so will obviously take the entire hive out. So considering my hunters here have done a reasonably good job at, you know, clearing out all they've done good for the Predator race. I don't want them to get nukified. I still don't get why the Ancient can't just deploy the nuke, set a timer to a minute and bugger off. I don't know why he has to die in it. I think maybe he's just old and he's kind of done with this shit. You know, the Predator rules don't make any sense, and it's just like, right, I get it. We're meant to be an honor-bound race, but we are also incredibly intelligent. We're capable of inter-flight travel. We've traveled to different planets. We've controlled other alien races just for blood sport. Like, we are above this. Why are we doing this shit? You know what? I'm done. I'm done with the Predator race. I'm done with this bullshit. I've had to put up with it with however many years Predators live for. Fucking long-ass time. I'm too old for this bullshit. I'm done with your shit. I'm done with your dumbass rolls. Just take me out. Take me out in nuclear fire. That sounds so much more appealing than having to put up with bureaucratic bullshit any longer. So yeah, we're just gonna for those reasons, we're just gonna pull our hunters back. I like the idea of them not dying. I know it's just a game, but I want them to live. And then as soon as they are clear of the hive, we're just going to move our ancient carrier to the detonation site, where he's going to do one last little look around before yeeting himself out of existence. And yeah, as you can see, when that explosion goes up, there's these little orange circles to show all the other hive nodes getting taken out. And we are finished with the Predator campaign. And yeah, we only had 2 more minutes before we went over the par time, so it's probably a good idea we didn't go and take out the Marines. 170 kills, mostly Pred aliens. Predator hunt successful. Reinforcements and upgrades. Predators order and pay for reinforcements and upgrades at their mobile shrine. If the Predators lose their last shrine, they cannot reinforce or upgrade themselves. Earning credits. Predators earn credits in 2 ways. First, by killing enemies, and second, by collecting the skulls of their victims. Different enemies provide different sized rewards, generally depending on their combat prowess. Collecting the skull of a victim is typically worth more than killing it, but some enemies do not have skulls. Predators that can behead their enemies are automatically considered to have collected their victim's skull upon decapitation. Combat honor. Predators have a strong sense of honor and value hard-earned triumphs over easy ones. This directly affects their ability to generate credits, since the overseers of a hunt scale their kill rewards to the overall strength of the hunt's active members. In short, expensive hunting packs earn fewer credits than cheaper ones. Energy. All Predators have an energy level that they can use to power their cloaking field or cure damage and various crippling side effects caused by enemies. A Predator can recharge its energy by turning its cloaking field off and waiting, or by moving near a Predator shrine. The latter option recharges a Predator energy much more quickly. Cloaking. All Predators can cloak when necessary, preventing them from being seen by many kinds of enemies. Maintaining the cloaking field requires energy, so a Predator can temporarily lose its ability to cloak if it runs out. Being fully detected. Some enemies have sensors that give them the ability to completely defeat cloaking, enabling nearby enemy forces to treat the cloaked Predator as if it were seen normally. These include synthetics, sentry guns, aliens that can emit spores, and enemy Predators with the PredTech Vision upgrade. Being partially detected. Certain actions such as attacking, pulling skulls, and healing cause a cloaked Predator to become temporarily detectable by enemies. Enemy attacks that ignite, irradiate, or cause acid burns also have this effect, since they cause ongoing consequences that are observable outside the cloaking field. When a Predator is detected in one of these ways, it takes reduced damage from attacks relying on accuracy. Enemies have only a general idea of where it is and cannot deliver aimed hits. Healing. A Predator can heal by spending energy and using its Medicomp. There is a direct correlation between energy spent and damage healed, but this is modified by whatever side effects a Predator might be afflicted with. The Predator Medicomp attempts to heal those afflictions for which it has sufficient energy before trying to heal damage. Healing alien acid scarring is particularly energy consumptive, however, and only occurs after other afflictions have been eliminated. Extended vision modes. All Predators and their robotic support platforms have the ability to detect enemies beyond normal line of sight when upgraded with extended vision modes. Enemies seen via these modes show up highlighted and may be interacted with as normal. There are 3 kinds of enhanced vision: thermal, electro, and PredTech. Thermal vision detects humans and wildlife. Electrovision detects aliens and marine technology. And PredTech vision detects predators and their equipment, whether cloaked or not. Robotic support platforms. Predators rely upon two robotic support platforms, the Shrine and the PredGun. These platforms cannot cloak and do not heal themselves like normal predators. They are immune to many enemy side effects, however, and automatically regenerate at high rates when not under attack. Robotic support platforms do not generate bounties for their kills, though credits may still be acquired by collecting the skulls of the enemies they have slain. Strengths. Generally speaking, predators are the toughest and most powerful of the species. They have a balance of melee and ranged attackers, along with the best long-range attack options and the best ability to damage multiple targets simultaneously. Of course, they can also cloak and use their enhanced vision systems to spy on enemies, making them matchless in the art of assassination. Weaknesses. Predators are fewer in number than other species, and are therefore vulnerable to being overwhelmed by their more numerous opponents. It is also possible to stop a predator hunt cold by destroying all of the shrines supporting the operation. Predators rely on the credits generated by kills in order to continue the hunt, so if a clan cannot win its early battles, the hunt often stops immediately. Description. If a predator has great strength, speed and endurance, it trains to become a brawler. The brawler is both a tireless scout and vicious frontline fighter. It is revered for its bravery and its ability to successfully attack any kind of foe at close range, no matter how dangerous it might be. Default weapon, wrist blades. As a matter of pride and honour, the brawler relies upon one weapon only, its wrist blades. To many predators, this is a humble weapon, but in truth, it is quite formidable, possessing a sharpness and strength achieved by no species save the predators. Though its wrist blades, a skilled brawler is a whirlwind of destruction, slicing, dismembering, and gutting enemies with alarming rapidity. Characteristics. Channeled Fury. Once a brawler starts attacking an opponent, it uses its training to channel its battle rage into an unrelenting stream of ruthless, cleaving blows. Only the largest, most skilled or most heavily armoured opponents can withstand this attack and actually fight back. Lesser enemies can only try to survive the onslaught. Characteristics. Lightning reflexes. The brawler is quick enough to strike leaping facehuggers mid-flight. This knocks the facehugger away and often kills it in the process. While a brawler's reflexes are quick enough to protect it from any number of uncoordinated facehugger attacks, they cannot protect the brawler from being overwhelmed by multiple facehuggers attacking simultaneously. Upgrade. Glory Strike. The veteran brawler develops an uncanny ability to deliver the perfect blow amid its furious onslaught. Such a strike does extreme damage and is frequently accompanied by the brawler's hallmark battle cry. When a brawler delivers a killing blow in this way, it is often spectacular. Brawlers are known to decapitate their enemies in a single strike as a method of demoralizing their subsequent victims. Strengths. The brawler is an excellent all-around combatant. Its savage assault prevents most smaller enemies from counterattacking or escaping, and its armor-slicing claws are potent against larger, more heavily armoured opponents. In numbers, brawlers can bring down almost any enemy, though sometimes without the cost efficiency of more specialised predators. The brawler's speed and durability also make it an excellent scout. It can often survive surprise encounters with even heavy resistance. Weaknesses. For all of its strength and speed, the Brawler is still only a conventional melee fighter, and one that is frequently outnumbered by its enemies. It can be brought down at range by massed fire, and it can be overwhelmed by multiple melee attackers engaging it simultaneously. Experienced Brawlers are particularly wary of even small groups of close assault marines, such as the infantry and the flamethrower marine. Description. As its name implies, the hunter excels at attacking its prey from range. It is dangerous whether playing the lone assassin or providing massed fire support for frontline combatants. Predator vision mode enhancements are particularly useful for the hunter, since they allow it to take maximum advantage of its long-range plasma caster and strike targets from beyond their field of view. Default weapon. Plasma Caster. The Plasma Caster is a long-range energy projector capable of guiding armor-penetrating plasma bolts at distant targets. Moreover, the weapon's bolts explode in a burst of plasma shrapnel that damages other enemies near the point of impact. By default, the weapon's attack range is greater than the hunter's visual range. Predator vision modes change this relationship, however, enabling the hunter to act as a sniper. Upgrade. Omnicaster. A bioscanner and a multi-barreled firing mechanism enable this weapon to analyze targets and attack them with various types of plasma munitions. There are 3 kinds: burst plasma, fire plasma, and dark plasma. Burst plasma is identical to that fired by the Plasma Caster. Fire plasma ignites targets, and dark plasma causes a controlled energy reaction that correlates its damage to the mass of the target, enabling the weapon to kill any enemy with a limited number of hits. Strengths. The hunter is best used with Predator vision upgrades. With them, it can attack enemies from well outside their visual ranges, ideal for preemptive elimination of enemies that nullify the advantages of Predator cloaking. When upgraded, the hunter's dark plasma is devastating against heavier tank enemies. No known opponent can survive more than 10 shots from this munition. The weapon attempts to keep its target on fire while striking it with whatever plasma causes the most damage. Weaknesses. While the hunter is an excellent choice when used from standoff range, it is less useful in close combat. The hunter has neither the rate of fire nor the armor to survive long against close-range melee attackers. It should be particularly wary of runners, since they are able to get into melee range quickly. Against marines, the hunter should strive to remain undetected as much as possible. Massed marine fire at range can make short work of a hunter that has been caught off guard. Description. Among predators, the Spearmaster is recognized for its superior combat agility, mental focus, and dedication to craft. A Spearmaster is one with its weapon, wielding it with a sublime grace seemingly impossible in the imperfect world of practical reality. It can keep a single enemy at bay indefinitely, send a horde of attackers hurling backwards with a single blow, or assassinate prey by surprise with a single, perfectly placed impalement attack. Default weapon. Spear, combi stick. The Spearmaster wields a single weapon, its spear. It is exceedingly sharp and resilient, though it does not have the armor-cleaving abilities of a wrist blade. The spear's advantage is that it can parry melee attacks, smacking aside claws and tooth as if they were hardly relevant. This only works on less skilled or smaller opponents, however. A sweeping Ravager whole blade simply cannot be stopped by a creature as small as a predator, no matter how skilled it might be. Characteristics: Whirlwind Battle Method. When a Spearmaster is surrounded by attackers, it executes its Whirlwind Battle Method. This sweeping, spinning attack lands a blow on each enemy around the Spearmaster. A blow of sufficient strength to parry most attacks and send smaller targets flying. However, it requires a fair amount of room to execute without causing collateral damage, so the Spearmaster refrains from performing it when too close to no more than a handful of allies. Characteristics: Impalement Battle Method. If the Spearmaster attacks an enemy while undetected through cloaking, it is able to deliver a critical strike of unmatched strength. The Spearmaster relies on its extensive training to deliver a deep, impaling blow in a way that sidesteps its opponent's armor entirely. Whether through an eye slit or a soft junction between chitinous plates, this blow often kills its opponent outright. Characteristics: Phoenix Armor. As a rite of passage, every aspiring Spearmaster must kill a Viadrak, Phoenix, with only a spear. This winged beast lives in the infernal deserts of the Predator homeworld, surviving heat and radiation strong enough to bake most life forms. If the Predator kills the Viadrak, its hide is fashioned into armor its nemesis wears for life. Like the Viadrak itself, this armor is uniquely resilient to fire, energy, and radiation. Characteristics: Conductive Recharge. A special armor working process applied to the conductive vessels in the Viadrak scales enable the Spearmaster to recharge its energy supply when struck by fire or energy-based attacks. Characteristics: Lightning Reflexes. The Spearmaster is quick enough to strike leaping facehuggers mid-flight. This knocks the facehugger away and often kills it in the process. While a Spearmaster's reflexes are quick enough to protect it from any number of uncoordinated facehugger attacks, they cannot protect it from being overwhelmed by multiple facehuggers attacking simultaneously. Upgrade: Plasma Glaive. Veteran Spearmasters acquire the deadly Plasma Glaive as a symbol of their status. This double-bladed weapon seethes with white-hot plasma that burns through enemy armor, giving it greater penetrating power than a standard spear. The Plasma Glaive automatically increases its power output in proportion to the number of enemies it is striking. During the execution of a Whirlwind Battle Method, this power output calibration can add significantly to the overall damage inflicted. Strengths: Against aliens, the Spearmaster is the premier crowd control combatant. It is able to wade into a sea of lesser aliens and leave a trail of dead in its wake. Against Marines and aliens alike, the Spearmaster is useful for safely killing small numbers of enemies with hit-and-run assassination attacks. The Spearmaster's Phoenix armor also makes it ideal for countering flamethrower Marines and upgraded Sardar troopers. The Spearmaster is feared by some predators for its near immunity to plasma weaponry. Weaknesses: The Spearmaster lacks the strength to deflect the strikes of any alien larger than a warrior. These enemies make quick work of the Spearmaster, particularly when attacking in numbers. The Spearmaster should also avoid transbreed aliens that have been frenzied by a war empress. They are abnormally strong and cannot be fended. Against Marines, the Spearmaster is vulnerable to massed fire and often cannot inflict casualties fast enough to prevent terminal retaliation. Description: the Stalker is the Predator equivalent of the Marine Sniper. It has the longest range of any Predator, and it is the stealthiest, in that it can maintain cloaked status for far longer periods than the others. Like the Hunter, the Stalker strongly benefits from enhanced vision mode upgrades, since its weapon significantly outranges its default field of view. Default weapon: Spear Gun. The Stalker's Spear Gun is an unusually potent weapon. First, it enables the Stalker to fire at opponents from extreme range. Second, its strike is hard to trace its firing point. The weapon's impact reveals firing direction, but little else. Third, it produces no detectable phenomena at its firing point, enabling the Stalker to fire at enemies from close range without fear of being detected. Characteristics: deep infiltration. The Stalker wears a unique low-energy suit with microwave optical channeling that enables it to stay cloaked for far longer than if it used the conventional Predator cloaking mechanism. This benefit comes at a price, however, as the suit is fragile, provides no armor, and prevents the Stalker from moving quickly. Characteristics: telescoptics. The Stalker gains significantly greater benefit from vision mode upgrades than other Predators, enabling it to scout for prey at extreme distance. Upgrade: Bleeder Spears. When upgraded, the Stalker's weapon becomes a monstrous thing, designed to enhance the drama of the hunt at the cruel expense of its victims. Standard spears are replaced with Bleeder Spears, hideously barbed harpoons that drain their victims' vital fluid levels to just above the point of death. This makes prey more satisfying to hunt, bringing once mighty prey to a pathetic state, bleeding profusely, almost crawling to escape. To many Predators, this is the essence of an epic hunt. Strengths: when commanded properly, the Stalker is devastating. It can severely degrade enemies from long range while cloaked, all but eliminating their ability to respond in any meaningful fashion. The upgraded Stalker is even better at this role, since it can slay an entire platoon of Marines on its own by bleeding them just to above the point of death before delivering a round of finishing blows. Weaknesses: while exceedingly powerful in many ways, the Stalker has weaknesses to match. It has no armor, moves slowly, and is the most physically frail of the Predators. Its spears are deadly, but they have little ability to penetrate even moderately hardened armors. Robotic enemies are quite dangerous to the Stalker, since they typically have hard armor and ignore weapons that cause bleeding in organic creatures. Cloak detectors are also a danger, as detection often means death to the Stalker. Description: Predators gifted with exceptional intelligence and focus become Disc Masters, warriors that mentally command their discs to strike multiple targets simultaneously. When basking in the full glory of battle, a single Disc Master routinely keeps 3 discs aloft at once, each of which can attack 3 targets before returning home. While other Predators are attacking a single target, the Disc Master is attacking 9, a feat that does not go unnoticed by its fellow clan members. Default weapon: the Predator disc is dangerous because of its capabilities against large numbers of enemies. It has a razor-sharp edge, unerring mental guidance systems, and the ability to continue flight after its initial impact. Because of these attributes, a competent Disc Master can be expected to quickly damage many targets, no matter how agile they might be. Moreover, the disc is initially thrown with sufficient force to drive back those opponents without substantial armour or larger size. Upgrade. Nanovibronic Edge. When upgraded, the Discmaster gains a set of 9 nanovibronic discs. These discs possess a high-speed molecular chainsaw around their circumference that can tear through even hardened composite armors. Worse, each Discmaster is trained in the art of Kyrie, or death from within. This involves embedding 3 nanovibronic discs in an armored opponent and activating each disc's haywire mode. Needless to say, few enemies fare well, with berserk ripping machines embedded in their internals. Strengths. The Discmaster is best employed in a support role against enemies that are easily disrupted by the initial impact of each disc. Most Marines and all aliens less powerful than a Predalien fall into this category. When upgraded, the Discmaster becomes an excellent all-around support predator, stunning or tearing apart light and heavy enemies alike. This capability only magnifies in numbers. A large group can unleash a veritable hurricane of discs few enemies can penetrate. Weaknesses. For all its skill at degrading throngs of enemies in combat, the Discmaster is actually fairly weak in one-on-one or front-line combat. It is not as tough as other predators, and its standard discs have little ability to damage or stun armoured opponents. It is for these reasons that Discmasters are taught to rely upon peers for defence. That, and the hard-earned battle wisdom that it is better to kill one enemy than damage 10, since the dead one cannot strike back. Description. A clan's most seasoned close combat veterans become Vanguards. The Vanguard has both the honour and the responsibility of leading the clan's melee assaults. Unlike other melee predators, the Vanguard is well armoured and carries an advanced weapon of awesome potency, the Plasma Scythe. The Scythe's energy blade cannot be stopped by normal matter, a crucial attribute, given that the Vanguard is honour bound to directly engage the clan's most dangerous enemies. Default weapon. Plasma Scythe. According to Predator lore, this eminently dangerous weapon can only be wielded by those who have earned the right to bear it. When it strikes, its blade leaves wounds filled with seething dark plasma. Dark plasma triggers a controlled energy reaction that causes damage in proportion to the mass of the target, enabling the weapon to kill any enemy, regardless of its power, with no more than 4 hits. Upgrade. Killscreen Generator. Given its duty to lead the charge against even technically advanced enemies, the Vanguard requires a defensive system to protect against enemy fire. That system is the Killscreen Generator. The projection spines on this weapon emit unstable streams of dark plasma particles that vaporize incoming enemy projectiles. The kill screen can only vaporize so much mass per unit time, however, enabling enemies to overwhelm the system with large numbers of projectiles. Strengths. The Vanguard is best used to attack large or heavily armoured targets like purebreed aliens. Regardless of strength, no enemy can withstand 4 closely timed plasma scythe strikes. Hence, 4 Vanguards make for a particularly lethal heavy assault force, since they can kill any single enemy almost instantly. When upgraded, the Vanguard additionally becomes an excellent defensive choice, shielding other predators from enemy fire and even leaping facehuggers. Weaknesses. While its weapon does massive damage, it is heavy and requires great effort and time to swing. As such, the Vanguard is ill-equipped to deal with large numbers of lighter, fast attack enemies. And though the kill screen is an excellent defensive mechanism, weapons with high fire rates or large projectiles can easily overwhelm it. In fact, combat shotguns and torrent cannons fire so many projectiles that the kill screen does not even attempt to counter them. Description. The Hydra is a military-grade heavy assault predator designed to wade into fierce engagements and methodically crush enemy resistance. Because its guided electroshock missiles are particularly damaging to enemies with advanced sensors, the Hydra is an excellent shock trooper in that it excels at killing enemies that counteract predator cloaking. Default weapon: Electroshock Missile Battery. The Hydra's weapon is its back-mounted personal missile battery, which rapidly fires guided electroshock missiles at enemies within a 360-degree arc. These missiles unerringly seek their target before delivering an armor-penetrating electroshock plasma warhead. This warhead jolts the sensory systems of whatever target it hits, causing extra damage to non-predator enemies with particularly advanced detection capabilities. Characteristics: Hydra Shock Barrage. If a Hydra is engaging more than a handful of enemies, it may determine that it is necessary to unleash a full-scale missile barrage. When this happens, the Hydra fires a missile at every target within its visual range, frequently resulting in a truly overwhelming storm of projectiles. Given the energy requirements it places on the Hydra's systems, this maneuver can only be performed periodically, and even then, only when the Hydra is not cloaked. Characteristics: Tactical Supremacy Armor. Like all military-grade predators, the Hydra wears Tactical Supremacy Armor. This widely feared protective suit provides its wearer with substantial defensive against kinetic, fire, and acid damage. Its exceptional hardness also deflects outright any projectiles not specifically designed to penetrate armor. Consequently, enemies must make a concentrated effort to defeat any predators possessing this defensive system. Upgrade: Warhead Swarm. When upgraded, the Hydra fires electroshock missiles with multiple warheads. When a missile nears its target, it checks to see whether other enemies are within range of its warheads. If so, the missile splits into as many as 3 separate sub-missiles, each capable of independently striking a different target. This upgrade can cause a Hydra shock barrage to release a mind-boggling number of independent warheads. Strengths. The Hydra is a dangerous combatant in most circumstances. Though it excels at attacking groups of tough enemies from range, its tactical supremacy armor gives it excellent staying power when outnumbered, and its shock barrage naturally inflict tremendous amounts of damage in these situations. The Hydra is also an excellent shock trooper, using its electroshock missiles to destroy cloak detectors and thereby enable other predators to engage in a sustained, invisible assault. Weaknesses. Like other heavy combatants, the Hydra is vulnerable to enemies specifically designed to fill the anti-tank role. Snipers, Sadar troopers, and Ravagers are all dangerous to the Hydra. While enabling surprising agility given the protection it provides, tactical supremacy armor still slows its wearer down, meaning that the Hydra often cannot escape if odds turn against it. The Hydra cannot fire while moving either, making fleeing particularly dangerous. Description: the Blazer Predator is a military-grade heavy support trooper capable of rapidly turning its surroundings into a raging firestorm. Its arcing inferno beam ignites most enemies it touches, causing severe fire damage. No other known personal scale weapon system has the ability to achieve the overall damage output of which the Blazer is capable. Default weapon: Blazer. The Blazer is a shoulder-mounted energy projector that fires a sweeping inferno beam. Hotter than many stars at its core, an inferno beam works by instantly heating objects it touches to the point of spontaneous combustion. Given this ability, the weapon is designed to hit as many enemies as possible by sweeping in large arcs across its primary target. Since it does not need to be aimed with much precision, the Blazer can continue to fire even while on the move. Characteristics: Tactical Supremacy Armor. Like all military-grade Predators, the Blazer wears Tactical Supremacy Armor. This widely feared protective suit provides its wearer of substantial defenses against kinetic, fire, and acid damage. Its exceptional hardness also deflects outright any projectiles not specifically designed to penetrate armor. Consequently, enemies must make a concentrated effort to defeat any Predator possessing this defensive system. Upgrade: Dual Blazers. When upgraded, the Blazer Predator mounts a set of 2 linked blazers, one on each shoulder. The dual blazers coordinate their fire in order to maximize the damage they inflict. By keeping as many enemies on fire as possible, with this upgrade, a single Blazer Predator can set an entire enemy platoon on fire in seconds. Strengths: the Blazer excels at spreading large quantities of damage across multiple targets. This works particularly well against ranged enemies, since they often arrange themselves in ways that are easy for the Blazer to strafe. The Blazer's ability to fire on the move is critical for attacking melee enemies, since it enables the Predator to run from them while continuing its strafing. Finally, Tactical Supremacy Armor ensures that killing even a single Blazer requires sustained, coordinated effort. Weaknesses: since its attack is heat-based, the Blazer is less than effective against enemies with fire resistance. It also has trouble with tight clusters of enemies, since its heat beam cannot pass through targets and therefore often fails to reach behind the front lines. Like the Hydra, the Blazer is vulnerable to enemies that have powerful anti-tank capabilities. Description: the PredGun is an autonomous mobile defense platform used by the Predators to guard their shrine. To succeed in its role, the platform mounts a heavy plasma cannon capable of inflicting substantial damage on the largest and most armoured of enemies. Default weapon: Heavy Plasma Cannon. The heavy plasma cannon fires oversized, armour-penetrating plasma bolts, capable of causing extreme damage to whatever target they strike. Like other burst plasma bolts, the projectiles from the heavy plasma cannon detonate upon impact, showering the surrounding area with damaging plasma shrapnel. To achieve its remarkable hitting power, this weapon trades away some of the fire rate and range of the standard plasma caster. Characteristics: autonomous redeployment. A key advantage of the PredGun over the Marine Sentry Gun is its ability to pack itself up, move to a new area, and redeploy there, all without any external intervention. Like the Sentry Gun, however, the PredGun cannot fire while in its packed state. Characteristics: integrated self-healing. The PredGun is made of smart materials that are capable of healing themselves when coordinated by the platform's regeneration management subsystem. This healing cannot occur while the PredGun is sustaining damage, but proceeds with surprising speed when the PredGun remains unmolested for any length of time. Strengths. The PredGun is designed to protect the Predator Shrine by complementing the Shrine's offensive capabilities. While the Shrine is capable of inflicting sustained damage across a number of lighter enemies, the PredGun is designed to stop heavier attackers. Like the Hunter's Plasma Caster, the PredGun benefits greatly from the enhanced Predator vision modes. With them, the PredGun can outrange many cloak-defeating sensors, enabling cloaked predators stationed behind it to remain undetected. Weaknesses. The PredGun has several weaknesses. First, it cannot counterattack while moving, making it vulnerable during transit. Second, the PredGun moves slowly, making it less successful at operating on highly fluid front lines. Third, its slow fire rate makes it vulnerable to being overwhelmed by large numbers of lighter enemies. Description. The Shrine is an autonomous support platform that predators rely upon to call in reinforcements. It is mobile, reasonably well armed, and very tough. Default weapon: Fireliner. The Shrine is equipped with a Fireliner, a multi-beam heat weapon related to the Blazer. Unlike the Blazer, the Fireliner focuses small beamlets on different enemy weak spots, heating them to the point of combustion. Overall, the Fireliner spreads its pool of beamlets across as many enemies as possible to maximize the number of opponents suffering from ongoing burns. Like the Blazer, the Fireliner can fire on the move. Characteristics: Drop Site Transceiver. The Shrine enables predators to call in reinforcements and field upgrades so that they might continue the hunt after suffering losses. In addition to transmitting requests to an orbiting Huntmaster ship, the Shrine serves as a drop site beacon so that predator drop pods can land in an area immediately relevant to an ongoing hunt. Since predators consider requiring rescue more than vaguely dishonorable, clan leaders are keenly aware that losing their last shrine often means failure and death. Characteristics: Energy Infuser. The Shrine can rapidly recharge the energy supply of nearby predators from an internal pool of energy it maintains. It has sufficient output to sustain several cloaked predators without loss, but more will cause it to slowly lose its energy store until it eventually runs dry. The Shrine can refill its own energy supply at a much higher rate if there are no ongoing drains on its charging system, meaning that it is far more energy efficient to periodically recharge predators than to continually sustain them. Characteristics: Integrated self-healing. Like the PredGun, the Shrine is made of smart materials that are capable of healing themselves when coordinated by the Shrine's regeneration management subsystem. This healing cannot occur while the Shrine is sustaining damage, but proceeds with surprising speed when the Shrine remains unmolested for any length of time. Strengths: The Shrine is best kept well protected and at a safe distance from heavy combat. While tough and powerfully armed, it is the Predator's sole means of acquiring both reinforcements and field upgrades. In the eventuality that it is attacked, the Shrine is best used to assist supporting PredGuns by degrading nearby enemies with its Fireliner. When sufficiently protected, the shrine serves well as a forward operational base by delivering reinforcements very close to the point of need. Weaknesses. The primary weakness of the shrine is that it is a single point of failure for the Predator's ability to maintain field strength while on the hunt. As such, veteran Predator clan leaders typically deploy multiple PredGuns for protection, and sometimes even order spare shrines to remain prepared for contingencies. Besides its inherent criticality, the shrine has two other weaknesses. First, its low speed, and second, the Fireliner's inability to completely dispatch multiple enemies quickly.